Chapter 1: Rebirth into the Cultivation World. Lin Chen awoke to a dazzling azure sky, the crisp air filling his lungs as the scent of wildflowers drifted around him. He blinked, disoriented, as the memories of his previous life slowly began to resurface. The familiar ache of regret tugged at him, a lifetime squandered chasing wealth and prestige, only to find emptiness at the end of the road. "Where am I?" he muttered, sitting up. Before him stretched a vast landscape, rolling hills covered in emerald green grass, mountains towering in the distance, their peaks cloaked in mist. It was a world of beauty and raw, untamed power. Yet it was also unfamiliar. The last thing he remembered was the sterile beeping of hospital monitors and the unbearable silence that followed his final breath. "Welcome, host. Initialization complete. Binding process commencing." A crisp, mechanical voice interrupted his thoughts, causing Lin Chen to freeze. He glanced around, searching for the source of the voice, but there was no one in sight. What is this?" "Congratulations, host, on being selected by the Celestial Discipleship System. Your mission is to guide disciples toward greatness, unlocking rewards and cultivation opportunities for yourself in the process. As your disciples grow stronger, you will receive tenfold their cultivation gains." The voice was calm and professional, but its words left Lin Chen stunned. A system? Like those he'd read about in novels? "I've been reborn into a cultivation world," he murmured, his heart racing. The realization was both exhilarating and terrifying. Initial rewards are now being distributed. "Host, please check your status." In his mind, a translucent panel appeared, filled with information. Name: Lin Chen. Realm: Qi Refinement Stage 1. System Level: Beginner. Active Disciple Slots: 0/1. Rewards available: Basic Qi Condensation Technique. Lin Chen stared at the panel, his thoughts swirling. He had been given a second chance, a chance to walk the path of cultivation, but it came with a catch. To grow stronger, he would need disciples. "And I only gain power if they succeed," he muttered, narrowing his eyes. Interesting. A world of power. Lin Chen spent the next several hours exploring his surroundings. He quickly learned that this was the Heavenly Cloud Continent, a land ruled by sects, clans, and ancient cultivators who wielded the power to shatter mountains and part seas. The cultivation realms were clearly delineated, with each step requiring a deeper understanding of spiritual energy and the Tao. The system provided him with a basic overview. 1. Qi Refinement. 2. Foundation Establishment. 3. Core Formation. 4. Nascent Soul. 5. Spirit Severing. 6. Void Transformation. 7. Immortal Ascension. These were the realms most cultivators aspired to, though the system hinted at even greater stages beyond. Lin Chen's curiosity deepened as the system explained the laws of this world. Cultivation required not only effort and resources but also the comprehension of one's Tao, the personal truth that guided their spiritual journey. "But how do I begin?" Lin Chen asked aloud. Host must first secure a disciple to activate system functions. Search for individuals with potential in nearby villages or sections. The answer was simple, but it presented a challenge. Lin Chen had no reputation or resources to attract disciples. If he wanted to build a foundation, he would have to start from scratch. The journey begins. Determined to begin his journey, Lin Chen made his way toward a nearby village. Along the way, he practiced the basic Qi condensation technique, circulating spiritual energy through his meridians. The process was slow and tedious, but the system provided guidance, ensuring he avoided common mistakes. By the time he reached the village, Lin Chen had advanced slightly within Qi Refinement Stage 1. It wasn't much, but it was progress. The village was a modest settlement, its wooden houses clustered around a central square where farmers and traders exchanged goods. Lin Chen observed the villagers carefully, searching for anyone who might have the spark of potential. It wasn't long before he found someone. A boy, no older than 16, was practicing martial arts near the edge of the village. His movements were clumsy, but there was a determination in his eyes that caught Lin Chen's attention. The boy's tattered clothes and dirt-smudged face spoke of a hard life, yet he moved with the desperation of someone striving for something greater. Perfect, Lin Shen thought, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Shui Yan, the first disciple. Lin Shen approached the boy, his presence quiet yet commanding. The boy stopped mid-punch, his eyes widening as he noticed the stranger. Who are you? The boy asked warily, his fists clenching. Someone who can guide you, Lin Shen replied, his tone calm. Tell me, what do you seek from this world? The boy hesitated, studying Lin Shen's plain robes and unassuming demeanor. Strength, he said finally. I want to protect my family. To never feel powerless again. Lin Shen nodded. And what are you willing to give in exchange for that strength? Anything. The boy's response was immediate, his voice trembling with resolve. Lin Shen saw the potential within him, a flickering ember waiting to be ignited. Your name? Shui Yan. Lin Shen placed a hand on Shui Yan's shoulder. Then from this moment forward, you are my disciple. I will teach you the path of cultivation, but remember, the journey is long and filled with hardship. Are you prepared? Shui Yan swallowed hard, then nodded. Yes, Master. Discipleship initiated. Host has received a 10% cultivation boost. The system's voice was like music to Lin Shen's ears. He felt a surge of energy course through him, pushing him to the peak of Qi refinement stage 1. This is only the beginning, Lin Shen thought, his eyes gleaming with determination. Building the foundation. Over the next few days, Lin Shen began teaching Shui Yan the basics of cultivation. The boy's progress was slow at first, but his determination never wavered. Each time Shui Yan meditated or practiced a technique, Lin Shen felt a surge of energy, his cultivation growing steadily. By the end of the week, Shui Yan had successfully reached Qi refinement stage 1, and Lin Shen had advanced to Qi refinement stage 3. Master, Shui Yan said one evening, his voice filled with awe, how are you so knowledgeable? It's like you've been cultivating for years. Lin Shen smiled faintly. Experience comes in many forms, Shui Yan. Focus on your own path, and the answers will come in time. As Shui Yan nodded and returned to his meditation, Lin Shen gazed at the stars, a sense of quiet satisfaction settling over him. Chapter 2, Guiding the Ember. The morning sun bathed the village in golden light as Lin Shen and Shui Yan began their daily cultivation practice. Lin Shen sat cross-legged under a withered oak tree, his serene presence a stark contrast to Shui Yan, who was drenched in sweat, his breathing ragged as he tried to replicate the stellar breathing technique his master had demonstrated. Focus, Lin Shen said softly, his voice cutting through Shui Yan's frustration. Your energy is scattered like loose sand. Pull it together, let it flow as one. Shui Yan nodded, closing his eyes and adjusting his posture. His face scrunched in concentration as he tried to calm his mind. Lin Shen watched in silence, noting the faint shimmer of spiritual energy beginning to gather around the boy. Host, disciple Shui Yan has achieved a minor breakthrough in his qi circulation. Initiating feedback, 10x energy return. Lin Shen's body buzzed as a wave of spiritual energy surged into his meridians, elevating his cultivation. He exhaled slowly, stabilizing the newfound power and suppressing the smile tugging at his lips. This system, he thought, truly defies common sense. At this rate, even a mediocre disciple can accelerate my progress exponentially. The foundation of cultivation. Over the next few days, Lin Shen began introducing Shui Yan to the fundamentals of cultivation. The heavenly cloud continent had a well-established hierarchy of cultivation realms, each representing a leap in understanding and power. Remember, Shui Yan, Lin Shen explained one afternoon, as the two sat by a bubbling stream, cultivation isn't just about absorbing energy. It's about comprehending the Tao, the truth that guides your path. Without clarity of purpose, your progress will falter. Shui Yan frowned, his youthful face shadowed by uncertainty. But how do I find my Tao, Master? Lin Shen's gaze softened. By asking yourself this, what drives you? What do you seek from this world? I want to protect my family, Shui Yan said without hesitation. Lin Shen nodded. Then that is your Tao, for now. But be prepared, it may change as you grow. The Tao is a journey, not a destination. As the days turned into weeks, Shui Yan began to make steady progress. Under Lin Chen's guidance, he stabilized his Qi refinement stage 1 cultivation and showed signs of advancing further. Each time Shui Yan cultivated, Lin Chen reaped the rewards, his own power surging with every breakthrough. A shadow looms. One evening, as Lin Chen meditated under the moonlight, the system's voice interrupted his thoughts. Warning, host is being observed by an unknown entity. Caution is advised. Lin Chen's eyes snapped open, his senses sharpening. He scanned the area, his perception enhanced by the system. In the distance, he caught a flicker of movement, a figure cloaked in shadow, watching from the treetops. Interesting, Lin Chen murmured, rising to his feet. He made no attempt to pursue the spy, knowing it would only confirm their suspicions. Instead, he turned his attention inward, formulating a plan. The world isn't as peaceful as it seems, he thought. If I'm already drawing attention, I need to tread carefully. The system's insight. Later that night, Lin Chen consulted the system, seeking its advice. Who do you think is watching me? He asked, his voice low. Possibilities include rival sect members, wandering cultivators, or local spies. Host's rapid cultivation progress may have drawn unwanted attention. Lin Chen sighed. Then I need to remain low-key. The last thing I need is to become a target before I've established a proper foundation. Suggestion: accelerate disciple recruitment to strengthen your influence. Higher-level disciples will provide greater feedback, increasing host's cultivation at a faster rate. Lin Chen shook his head. No. Rushing will only attract more attention. For now, I'll focus on Shui Yan. He'll be enough to sustain my progress for the time being. Challenges in the path. The next morning, Lin Chen and Shui Yan ventured deeper into the forest, searching for medicinal herbs to enhance their cultivation. The system had identified several plants nearby, each capable of boosting spiritual energy when refined into pills. Master, why do we need these herbs? Shui Yan asked as he plucked a vibrant blue flower from the ground. Resources are the lifeblood of cultivation, Lin Chen replied. Even the most talented cultivator will falter without them. By gathering these herbs, we can refine pills to aid your progress. As they worked, Lin Chen sensed another presence nearby. His eyes narrowed as a group of rough-looking men emerged from the shadows, their leader sneering as he stepped forward. Well, what do we have here? The man drawled, his gaze lingering on the herbs in Lin Chen's hands. Looks like you've stumbled into our territory. Lin Chen remained calm, his expression unreadable. This forest belongs to no one. Move along. The man's sneer deepened. You've got guts, old man. But if you know what's good for you, you'll leave those herbs and walk away. Shui Yan bristled, his fists clenching. Master. Lin Chen raised a hand, silencing him. Stay back, Shui Yan. The bandits laughed, mistaking Lin Chen's calm demeanor for weakness. Their leader lunged forward, his blade aimed at Lin Chen's throat. It was over in an instant. Lin Chen sidestepped effortlessly, his palm striking the man's chest with precise force. The bandit crumpled to the ground, unconscious. The others froze, their confidence shattered. Lin Chen's gaze swept over them, cold and unyielding. Leave, he said simply. Without a word, the remaining bandits fled, dragging their leader with them. Shui Yan stared at Lin Chen, awe and admiration shining in his eyes. Master, how did you do that? Lin Chen smiled faintly. Strength isn't just about power, Shui Yan. It's about control. Remember that. The first breakthrough. That night, as Shui Yan meditated, he felt a surge of energy within him. His spiritual energy, which had been like a trickling stream, now flowed like a roaring river. Master, he called out, his voice trembling with excitement. I think I'm breaking through. Lin Chen watched silently, his expression calm. Shui Yan's body began to glow faintly as he advanced to Qi refinement stage 2. Feedback initiated. Host has received 10x cultivation energy. Lin Chen suppressed a smile as the energy coursed through him, pushing him to Qi refinement stage 4. Well done, Shui Yan, he said, his voice steady. You've taken your first step toward true cultivation. But remember, this is only the beginning. Shui Yan nodded, his eyes burning with determination. I won't let you down, master. As the stars glittered above, Lin Chen allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. His journey had only just begun, but the foundation was being laid, one disciple at a time. Chapter 3: Building the Pillars. As dawn broke over the village, Lin Chen and Shui Yan began another day of cultivation training. This time, Lin Chen introduced Shui Yan to a martial skill called the Wind Shadow Steps, a movement technique designed for agility and evasion. Martial skills aren't just about power, Lin Chen explained, demonstrating the fluid, almost ethereal movements. They are about precision. An ill-timed strike or misstep can mean death in battle. Shui Yan watched with wide eyes, his body aching from the previous day's exertions. He tried to mimic his master's movements, stumbling over his own feet as he struggled to find the rhythm. Again, Lin Chen said calmly, "Focus on your breathing. Let it guide your movements." The boy gritted his teeth and tried again, his steps becoming smoother with each attempt. Lin Chen nodded in approval, his mind already calculating how to structure the boy's training. The cultivation realms expanded. During a brief rest, Lin Chen began to share more about the cultivation realms that shaped the heavenly cloud continent. Shui Yan, you've already experienced the first stage, Qi refinement. It's the foundation of cultivation, where we learn to sense and manipulate spiritual energy. But beyond that lies the foundation establishment realm, where one solidifies their spiritual base. Shui Yan leaned forward, listening intently. In foundation establishment, a cultivator begins to form their core, preparing for the core formation realm, where true power begins to manifest. Each step forward brings greater strength, but also greater challenges. Lin Chen paused, his eyes narrowing as he thought of the higher realms. Beyond core formation is the nascent soul realm, where a cultivator creates a spiritual avatar of themselves. Then comes the spirit-severing realm, a stage of immense difficulty, where one must sever worldly attachments to ascend further. Most cultivators fail here. Shui Yan frowned. Why is it so hard? Because severing attachments means cutting away pieces of yourself. It's a test of will and understanding of the Tao. Those who succeed can advance to the void transformation realm, where they begin to transcend mortality itself. Lin Chen's voice grew quieter as he spoke of the final stages. After void transformation comes immortal ascension, and beyond that are rumored realms of immortality and godhood. But those are far beyond what we need to consider now. Shui Yan nodded, his youthful face alight with determination. I'll reach those heights one day, master. I promise. Lin Chen smiled faintly, his expression unreadable. Good. But for now, focus on your foundation. One step at a time. The first spiritual herb. The next day, Lin Chen decided it was time to begin refining pills to enhance their cultivation. He led Shui Yan deeper into the forest, where the system had identified a patch of spirit blossoms, a rare herb used in basic qi enhancement pills. The journey was fraught with danger. Wild beasts prowled the shadows, their eyes glinting with predatory hunger. Lin Chen moved silently, his senses heightened as he guided Shui Yan through the treacherous terrain. When they finally reached the spirit blossoms, Shui Yan let out a breath of relief. The delicate white flowers shimmered with a faint blue glow, their spiritual energy palpable. Harvest them carefully, Lin Chen instructed. Their petals are fragile, and their potency diminishes if mishandled. Shui Yan nodded, his movements slow and deliberate as he plucked the flowers one by one. Lin Chen watched, his mind already planning the next steps. A test of strength. As they prepared to leave, a low growl rumbled through the forest. Lin Chen's eyes narrowed as a massive spirit beast emerged from the underbrush, a crimson fawn wolf, its fur bristling as it bared its fangs. Shui Yan, stay behind me, Lin Chen said, his voice calm. The wolf lunged, its movements swift and deadly. Lin Chen sidestepped effortlessly, his palm striking the beast's side with a burst of spiritual energy. The wolf yelped, its body skidding across the ground. But it wasn't finished. Snarling, the wolf rose to its feet, its eyes glowing with rage. Master, let me help. Shui Yan shouted, stepping forward. Lin Chen hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Very well. But remember your training. Shui Yan took a deep breath, his hands forming a seal as he channeled his qi. The air around him shimmered as he launched a blast of spiritual energy toward the wolf. The attack wasn't powerful, but it was precise, striking the wolf's leg and forcing it to stagger. Lin Chen moved in swiftly, finishing the beast with a single strike. As the wolf fell, Lin Chen turned to Shui Yan, a faint smile on his lips. Not bad, he said. You're learning. Shui Yan grinned, his chest swelling with pride. The rewards of cultivation. That night, as they returned to the village, Shui Yan meditated with the spirit blossoms, absorbing their energy. Lin Chen felt the familiar surge of power as the system processed the feedback. Host has received a 10x cultivation boost. Advancing to Qi Refinement Stage 5. Lin Chen's eyes gleamed as he stabilized his new cultivation level. At this rate, he would reach foundation establishment within months. Master, Shui Yan said softly, his eyes still closed, thank you for teaching me. I'll do my best to make you proud. Lin Chen's expression softened. Focus on your path, Shui Yan. That's all I ask. As the stars lit up the night sky, Lin Chen gazed into the distance, his thoughts turning to the challenges ahead. He had no doubt that his journey would be fraught with trials, but he also knew one thing for certain, with the system by his side, he would rise above them all. Chapter 4, The Journey to the City. Lin Chen sat quietly in his small courtyard, sipping tea as Shui Yan meditated beside him. The boy's progress over the past month had been steady. His cultivation had advanced to Qi Refinement Stage 3, and his proficiency with the Wind Shadow Steps was growing. But Lin Chen's ambitions extended far beyond this sleepy village. He knew it was time to broaden his horizons. Shui Yan, Lin Chen said, breaking the tranquil silence. We're leaving for Azure Sky City tomorrow. Shui Yan opened his eyes, startled. Azure Sky City? That's miles away. Why are we going, Master? Lin Chen's expression was calm but firm. This village has served its purpose, but it's too small for us to grow further. The city will provide resources, knowledge, and opportunities. Shui Yan nodded, though nervous excitement flickered in his gaze. The road to Azure Sky City. The journey to Azure Sky City took 3 days. The road wound through dense forests and rugged hills, with Lin Chen using the time to instruct Shui Yan on survival techniques and combat strategies. Remember, a cultivator must always remain vigilant, Lin Chen said, his eyes scanning the surroundings. Danger doesn't announce itself. On the 3rd day, the towering gates of Azure Sky City came into view. The city was a sprawling metropolis surrounded by tall stone walls, with bustling streets that thrummed with life. Merchants hawked their wares, warriors practiced in open courtyards, and the scent of exotic spices filled the air. Master, this place is incredible. Shui Yan said, his eyes wide with wonder. Lin Chen allowed himself a faint smile. Stay close. We have much to do. Meeting the outcast. As Lin Chen and Shui Yan wandered through the city, their path took them to a quieter district. Here, the grandeur of Azure Sky City gave way to crumbling buildings and narrow alleyways. Why are we here, Master? Shui Yan asked, his voice uncertain. Lin Chen didn't answer immediately. He had felt a faint, almost imperceptible spiritual pulse in this area, something rare and powerful, though dormant. Turning a corner, they came across a boy being beaten by a group of older youths. The boy was thin and ragged, his face bruised but defiant. Worthless trash, one of the bullies spat, kicking the boy. You think you belong in this city? You're nothing but a waste. Enough, Lin Chen said, his voice like steel. The bullies froze, turning to face him. They sneered, sizing him up. And who are you, old man? Lin Chen didn't bother replying. He stepped forward, his movements so fast they blurred. In an instant, the bullies were on the ground, groaning in pain. Leave, he said coldly. They scrambled to their feet and fled without looking back. The boy looked up at Lin Chen, his eyes filled with a mix of fear and gratitude. Thank you, senior. But you shouldn't have interfered. They'll only come back with reinforcements. Lin Chen studied the boy closely. Though his appearance was unremarkable, Lin Chen could feel the faint, dormant energy within him. "What's your name?" Lin Chen asked. "Zhao Tian," the boy said, hesitating. "Why were they calling you trash?" Zhao Tian's face darkened. I was born with a body that can't cultivate. No matter how hard I try, I can't absorb spiritual energy. Everyone calls me a waste." Lin Chen's eyes narrowed. The system's voice echoed in his mind. Analysis complete. Zhao Tian possesses the divine chaos body, an extremely rare constitution. Its full potential is locked due to a spiritual seal. A divine chaos body? Lin Chen thought, his heart racing. Such a body was beyond rare, it was legendary. If Zhao Tian's potential could be unlocked, his cultivation talent would surpass even the greatest prodigies. "Zhao Tian," Lin Chen said, his voice firm, "if I told you I could help you awaken your true potential, would you be willing to become my disciple?" The boy's eyes widened in disbelief. You can do that?" "Yes," Lin Chen said simply. "But it won't be easy. You'll face pain, challenges, and sacrifices. Are you willing?" Zhao Tian hesitated for only a moment before nodding. "I'll do anything, Senior. Please, make me your disciple." Awakening the divine chaos body. Lin Chen brought Zhao Tian and Shui Yan to a secluded inn on the outskirts of the city. There, he began the process of unsealing Zhao Tian's divine chaos body. "Shui Yan, guard the door. No one is to disturb us," Lin Chen instructed. Shui Yan nodded, stepping outside with a determined expression. Inside, Lin Chen placed his palm on Zhao Tian's forehead, channeling his spiritual energy. The system guided him through the intricate process of breaking the seal. Zhao Tian cried out as waves of energy surged through his body, the dormant power within him awakening. His veins glowed faintly, and the room was filled with a swirling, chaotic aura. "Focus," Lin Chen said sharply. "Control the energy. Let it flow through you." Zhao Tian gritted his teeth, his body trembling as he fought to stabilize the wild energy. Minutes felt like hours, but finally, the chaotic aura began to settle. "It's done," Lin Chen said, stepping back. Zhao Tian opened his eyes, his gaze brighter and more focused than before. I can feel it. The energy, it's flowing through me." "Good," Lin Chen said. "From now on, you are no longer a waste. You are my disciple. But remember, this is only the beginning." The rewards of the divine chaos body. As Zhao Tian meditated that night, absorbing spiritual energy for the first time, Lin Chen felt the familiar surge of feedback from the system. Host has received a 10x cultivation boost. Advancing to Qi Refinement Stage 6. Lin Chen exhaled slowly, stabilizing his cultivation. With Zhao Tian's divine chaos body, the feedback was even stronger than before. This boy will be a force to be reckoned with, Lin Chen thought. But I must guide him carefully. Power without control is a disaster waiting to happen. As the night deepened, Lin Chen sat silently, planning their next steps. The city was vast, and their journey had only just begun. Chapter 5, Training Chaos and Order. The morning sun spilled through the windows of the secluded inn, illuminating the small room where Zhao Tian was seated cross-legged, his body surrounded by a faint chaotic aura. Lin Chen observed him silently, his sharp gaze noting every fluctuation in Zhao Tian's energy. The boy's divine chaos body, now awakened, was both a blessing and a challenge. While its potential was immense, the chaotic energy it generated was inherently unstable, making cultivation difficult for anyone untrained. "Zhao Tian," Lin Chen said, breaking the silence, "you've taken the first step, but this is just the beginning. Your divine chaos body is powerful, but if you can't control it, it will destroy you before you can reach your full potential." Zhao Tian nodded, his expression resolute. "I'm ready to learn, Master." The basics of control. Lin Chen began Zhao Tian's training with a breathing technique designed to stabilize chaotic energy. This technique is called the Calm Sea Method, Lin Chen explained. Think of your energy like a stormy sea. To control it, you must calm the waves, one breath at a time. Zhao Tian closed his eyes and began following Lin Chen's instructions. At first, his chaotic aura flared wildly, the energy resisting his attempts to subdue it. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he struggled, his face contorted with effort. "Don't force it," Lin Chen said. "Guide it. Chaos is part of your nature, don't fight it, understand it." Gradually, Zhao Tian's breathing steadied, and the chaotic aura around him began to stabilize. Lin Chen nodded in approval. "Good. Continue practicing this technique daily. Once you can control your energy, we'll move on to martial skills." Shui Yan's progress. Meanwhile, Shui Yan was outside, sparring with a wooden training dummy. Over the past month, his wind shadow steps had improved significantly, and his strikes were faster and more precise. "Master," Shui Yan said when Lin Chen came to check on him, "will Zhao Tian surpass me because of his divine chaos body?" Lin Chen regarded his first disciple with a faint smile. "Cultivation isn't a race, Shui Yan. Everyone has their own path. Zhao Tian's potential is great, but so are his challenges. Focus on your own growth." Shui Yan nodded, his determination renewed. "I'll do my best, Master." The Cultivation Marketplace. That afternoon, Lin Chen took both disciples to Azure Sky City's Cultivation Marketplace. The bustling streets were lined with stalls and shops selling everything from spiritual herbs to rare weapons. "We'll need resources to continue your training," Lin Chen said. "Keep your eyes open, but don't act rashly. This city is full of hidden dangers." As they browsed the stalls, Lin Chen's sharp eyes caught sight of a small jade token inscribed with ancient runes. Picking it up, he felt a faint surge of spiritual energy. "What's this?" Lin Chen asked the merchant. The old man behind the stall chuckled. "That's an ancient treasure map, or so they say. I wouldn't bet on it being real, though." Lin Chen examined the token closely, his instincts telling him it was more than it seemed. He decided to buy it, handing over a small pouch of spirit stones. A chance encounter. As they continued through the market, they encountered a group of disciples from a prominent sect, their arrogant demeanor making it clear they considered themselves superior. "Out of the way, commoners," one of them sneered, shoving Zhao Tian aside. Before Lin Chen could intervene, Shui Yan stepped forward, his fists clenched. "Apologize to my junior brother." The sect disciple laughed. "And what if I don't? What can a nobody like you do?" Lin Chen placed a hand on Shui Yan's shoulder, stopping him. "There's no need for unnecessary conflict," he said calmly. The sect disciples sneered but moved on, their mocking laughter fading into the distance. "Master, why didn't we fight them?" Shui Yan asked, his voice tinged with frustration. "Strength isn't about proving yourself to everyone," Lin Chen said. "True power lies in restraint. There will come a time when no one will dare disrespect you, but that time isn't now." Shui Yan nodded reluctantly, absorbing the lesson. The rewards of discipline. That night, Zhao Tian meditated with the calm sea method, his chaotic energy becoming more stable with each session. Lin Chen once again felt the familiar surge of feedback from the system. Host has received a 10x cultivation boost. Advancing to Qi Refinement Stage 7. Lin Chen's cultivation continued to progress steadily, but he remained low-key, ensuring no one in the city noticed his rapid advancement. Meanwhile, Shui Yan practiced diligently, his strikes growing faster and more powerful. The boy's dedication impressed Lin Chen, who saw in him the qualities of a future leader. The map's secret. As Lin Chen examined the jade token that night, the system provided new information. Analysis complete. The token contains the location of an ancient ruin. High probability of rare cultivation treasures. Lin Chen's eyes gleamed. An ancient ruin, hidden within the mountains. This could be exactly what we need to accelerate our growth. He decided to take both disciples to the ruin, but not before ensuring they were ready for the dangers that lay ahead. The path ahead. As the days passed, Zhao Tian and Shui Yan continued their training, their progress steady and promising. Lin Chen, ever the patient and meticulous master, guided them with precision, his own cultivation benefiting from their efforts. But Lin Chen knew their time in Azure Sky City was limited. The Jade Token promised opportunities, but also risks. "We'll leave for the ruins in 3 days," Lin Chen told his disciples. "Prepare yourselves. This will be your first real test." Zhao Tian and Shui Yan exchanged determined looks. They didn't fully understand the challenges ahead, but they trusted their master completely. As the stars lit up the night sky, Lin Chen gazed at the distant mountains, a faint smile playing on his lips. The journey is just beginning. Chapter 6: The Ancient Ruins. 3 days passed in quiet preparation. Lin Chen's disciples spent their time refining their techniques, practicing control, and mentally preparing for the journey ahead. Lin Chen himself remained vigilant, using the time to study the Jade Token further. The map it contained was faintly inscribed with spiritual energy, and he traced the pathways leading deep into the mountains beyond Azure Sky City. On the morning of their departure, Lin Chen addressed his disciples in the inn's courtyard. "The ruin we're heading to is ancient and likely filled with both opportunities and dangers," he said, his tone firm. "You must remain calm, listen to my instructions, and trust me." "Yes, Master," Zhao Tian and Shui Yan said in unison, their expressions resolute. With that, the trio set out, leaving the bustling streets of Azure Sky City behind and venturing into the wilderness. A treacherous path. The journey to the ruins' location was fraught with challenges. The narrow mountain trails were slippery and lined with jagged rocks, and the dense forest around them was filled with the calls of spirit beasts. "Master," Shui Yan asked as they climbed a steep incline, "what kind of treasures do you think we'll find in this ruin?" Lin Chen glanced back at his disciple, his expression unreadable. "Treasures come in many forms. Rare herbs, ancient martial arts techniques, powerful artifacts, but the greatest treasure is knowledge. It can shape your future more than any weapon or pill." Shui Yan nodded thoughtfully, though his youthful excitement was still apparent. Midway through their journey, a low growl stopped them in their tracks. A massive ironhide bear lumbered into view, its thick fur glinting with a metallic sheen. The beast's eyes locked onto the group, and it charged without hesitation. "Stay back," Lin Chen ordered. Zhao Tian and Shui Yan retreated, watching as their master stepped forward. Lin Chen's movements were calm and precise as he sidestepped the bear's powerful swipe, his palm striking the beast's side with a burst of spiritual energy. The bear roared in pain, stumbling before collapsing to the ground. "Control your breathing," Lin Chen reminded his disciples as he checked the bear's lifeless body for any usable materials. "Panic only makes you vulnerable." The entrance to the ruins. After 2 days of travel, they finally reached the location marked on the Jade Token. Nestled within a narrow valley was a large stone gate, weathered with age and covered in moss. The air around the gate hummed faintly with spiritual energy, a sign of the powerful formations protecting the ruins. "This is it," Lin Chen said, his voice low. "An ancient ruin from the era of the celestial sovereigns." Zhao Tian and Shui Yan gazed at the gate in awe. Despite its age, the structure exuded an aura of majesty and mystery. Lin Chen approached the gate, placing his hand on its surface. The system's voice echoed in his mind. "Analyzing formation. Weak point detected. Host may deactivate the formation using a controlled surge of qi at this location." Following the system's guidance, Lin Chen channeled his spiritual energy into a specific point on the gate. The intricate runes carved into the stone glowed faintly before the gate creaked open, revealing a dark passageway leading into the ruins. "Stay close," Lin Chen instructed as they entered. Exploring the ruins. The air inside the ruins was cool and damp, and the faint glow of spiritual energy illuminated the path ahead. The walls were adorned with carvings depicting scenes of ancient battles and cultivators meditating beneath celestial phenomena. "Master," Zhao Tian said, pointing to one of the carvings, "what do these mean?" "They depict the celestial sovereigns," Lin Chen explained. "Powerful cultivators who once ruled this world. They reached heights of power most can only dream of." As they ventured deeper, they encountered their first obstacle, a series of pressure plates on the floor, each inscribed with a different symbol. "Master, what should we do?" Shui Yan asked nervously. Lin Chen studied the plates carefully before stepping onto one marked with a symbol of water. The plate sank slightly, and a faint clicking sound echoed through the chamber. "Follow my steps exactly," Lin Chen said, guiding his disciples across the plates one by one. A hidden treasure. At the end of the corridor, they entered a large chamber filled with ancient relics. Most were broken or covered in dust, but one object stood out, a small, intricately carved jade box resting on a pedestal. The system's voice chimed in Lin Chen's mind. "Treasure detected, spirit condensation pill. Enhances cultivation speed significantly for those below foundation establishment." This will be useful, Lin Chen thought, carefully retrieving the box. Before he could inspect it further, the chamber began to tremble. The walls cracked, and a deep growl echoed through the ruins. The guardian beast. A massive figure emerged from the shadows, a stone titan, its body composed of jagged rocks and glowing with spiritual energy. Its eyes locked onto the group, and it roared, shaking the ground beneath their feet. "Defensive formations," Lin Chen ordered, stepping forward. Zhao Tian and Shui Yan quickly obeyed, positioning themselves behind their master. Lin Chen faced the stone titan, his expression calm. He raised his hand, channeling his qi into a powerful technique, heaven-splitting palm. The air around him rippled as the technique collided with the titan, cracking its rocky surface. The titan retaliated, swinging its massive arm. Lin Chen evaded gracefully, striking again and again, his movements a blend of precision and power. Finally, with a resounding blow, the stone titan crumbled to pieces. The rewards of victory. As the dust settled, Zhao Tian and Shui Yan rushed forward, their faces filled with admiration. "Master, that was incredible!" Shui Yan exclaimed. Lin Chen waved a hand dismissively. "Focus on your training. You'll face greater challenges in the future." The system chimed again as Lin Chen absorbed the residual spiritual energy from the ruins' treasures. Host has received a 10x cultivation boost. Advancing to Qi Refinement Stage 8. Lin Chen stabilized his cultivation, his expression calm as he prepared to lead his disciples out of the ruins. "This is just the beginning," he said, glancing at the jade box. "We've gained much here, but the path ahead will only grow more dangerous." As they left the ruins, Lin Chen's thoughts turned to the future. His disciples were growing stronger, and his own power was advancing steadily. But he knew the heavenly cloud continent was vast, and their journey was far from over. Chapter 7: Rising Challenges. The group returned to the outskirts of Azure Sky City under the cover of dusk, their steps cautious and deliberate. Lin Chen ensured they avoided unnecessary attention, for the treasures they carried, especially the spirit condensation pill, were enough to invite trouble. Back at the inn, Lin Chen sat his disciples down in their dimly lit room. The faint glow of the jade box on the table illuminated their faces. "Zhao Tian, Shui Yan," Lin Chen began, his tone serious, "what we found in the ruins is valuable, but it comes with risk. Cultivation treasures are both a blessing and a curse. They can make you stronger, but they can also paint a target on your back." His disciples nodded, their expressions grave. "Master, are we going to use the pill?" Shui Yan asked. Lin Chen's gaze turned to the jade box. "The spirit condensation pill is most effective for those below foundation establishment. It will accelerate cultivation greatly, but using it recklessly could harm your foundations. Zhao Tian, as you are at the Qi Refinement Stage 1, this pill will benefit you the most. However, we'll need to stabilize your chaotic energy further before you take it." Zhao Tian bowed deeply. "Thank you, Master. I'll do my best to prepare." Lin Chen nodded. "For now, both of you must focus on consolidating your gains. Shui Yan, your control over the wind shadow steps is improving, but you must learn to harness them in combat. Zhao Tian, we'll continue refining your mastery of the calm sea method to stabilize your energy." A threat emerges. The next day, rumors began circulating through the city about the ancient ruins. Lin Chen heard whispers in the marketplace as he purchased supplies. "Did you hear? Someone broke into the celestial ruins near the mountains," a merchant said to his companion. "Impossible. That place has been sealed for centuries." "Well, someone got in." They say a guardian beast was defeated, and treasures were taken. Lin Chen's expression remained calm, but his mind raced. It seems news travels fast, he thought. We'll need to leave Azure Sky City soon. His suspicions were confirmed later that day when a group of men approached the inn. They were dressed in the robes of the Iron Blade sect, a local faction known for its ruthlessness. The leader, a burly man with a scar across his face, barged into the inn's courtyard, his sharp gaze sweeping the area. "We know someone here came from the ruins," he growled. "Hand over the treasures, and we might spare your lives." Lin Chen stepped forward, his expression calm but icy. "Your information is incorrect. Leave before you regret it." The man sneered. "Big words from someone hiding in a rundown inn. Do you think the Iron Blade sect will fear you?" Without another word, Lin Chen moved. His figure blurred as he appeared behind the man, striking a single pressure point on his neck. The man collapsed, unconscious before he hit the ground. The other members of the Iron Blade sect hesitated, their confidence faltering. "Take him and leave," Lin Chen said coldly. "Next time, there won't be mercy." They scrambled to drag their leader away, casting wary glances at Lin Chen as they fled. An unexpected visitor. Later that evening, as Lin Chen meditated in the courtyard, a faint ripple of spiritual energy caught his attention. He opened his eyes to see an elderly man in long robes standing before him. The man's presence was calm yet commanding, his aura that of a Foundation establishment cultivator. "Senior," the man said, bowing respectfully. "I am Elder Zhou of the Azure Sky Academy. I couldn't help but notice your strength earlier today." Lin Chen regarded the man with a neutral expression. "What do you want?" "I have no hostile intentions," Elder Zhou assured him. "In fact, I came to offer an opportunity. The Azure Sky Academy is hosting a tournament in 3 months, open to all young cultivators. The winner will receive a place in the academy, as well as rare cultivation resources." Lin Chen's thoughts turned to his disciples. The tournament could provide valuable experience and resources, but it could also expose them to greater dangers. "I'll consider it," Lin Chen said finally. Elder Zhou nodded. "I hope to see you there. The academy welcomes talent like yours." With that, he vanished into the night. The path forward. The next morning, Lin Chen called Zhao Tian and Shui Yan to the courtyard. "We'll be leaving Azure Sky City soon," he told them. "But before we do, there's an opportunity one wants you to consider. The Azure Sky Academy is holding a tournament in 3 months. Participating could help you grow, but it will also draw attention." Shui Yan's eyes lit up. "A tournament? That sounds exciting." Zhao Tian, however, hesitated. "Master, what if we're not strong enough?" Lin Chen placed a hand on Zhao Tian's shoulder. "Strength isn't just about cultivation level. It's about strategy, perseverance, and trust in yourself. If you train hard, you'll be ready." The two disciples exchanged a determined look before bowing. "We'll do our best, Master." Accelerating progress. In the weeks that followed, Lin Chen pushed his disciples harder than ever. For Zhao Tian, the focus was on stabilizing his chaotic energy. He spent hours practicing the Calm Sea method, gradually gaining better control over the wild power of his divine chaos body. Once Lin Chen was satisfied with his progress, he gave Zhao Tian the spirit condensation pill. Zhao Tian hesitated as he held the pill. "Master, will this really work?" Lin Chen nodded. "Trust in the process. I'll guide you through it." As Zhao Tian consumed the pill, his body was enveloped in a radiant glow. The chaotic energy within him surged wildly before gradually stabilizing. By the end of the night, his cultivation had advanced to Qi Refinement Stage 3, and his aura was noticeably stronger. Shui Yan's training focused on combat techniques. Lin Chen sparred with him personally, teaching him to use the wind shadow steps in battle. Over time, Shui Yan became faster and more agile, his strikes carrying more precision and power. Preparing for the journey. As the day of their departure approached, Lin Chen reflected on their progress. Zhao Tian's divine chaos body was beginning to show its potential, while Shui Yan's dedication had made him a formidable fighter. But Lin Chen knew this was only the beginning. The world of cultivation was vast, and the dangers they faced would only grow. "Master," Zhao Tian said one evening, "where will we go next?" Lin Chen's gaze turned to the horizon. To greater opportunities and greater challenges. "But no matter where we go, remember this: stay low-key, trust your training, and never underestimate yourself." As the stars lit up the night sky, the trio prepared for their next journey, their resolve stronger than ever. Chapter 8: Departing for the Great Azure Province. The morning came brisk and cold, the air charged with a sense of new beginnings. Lin Chen and his two disciples stood at the gates of Azure Sky City, their bags packed and their gazes set toward the horizon. Beyond lay the Great Azure Province, home to vast cities, ancient sects, and the renowned Azure Sky Academy, where the upcoming tournament would test their mettle. "Master," Shui Yan said, adjusting the strap of his pack, "how long will it take us to get there?" 2 weeks if we maintain a steady pace," Lin Chen replied. "We'll travel through the green pine forest, which will save time, but it's also known to be dangerous. Stay alert." Zhao Tian and Shui Yan nodded, their determination evident. As they left the city behind, Lin Chen remained vigilant. Though the incident with the Iron Blade sect had been resolved for now, he knew their influence likely stretched beyond Azure Sky City. The cultivation realms of this world. During the journey, Lin Chen took the opportunity to explain the cultivation realms to his disciples. As they set up camp one evening, he began his lesson. "The path of cultivation is divided into 15 realms," Lin Chen said, drawing symbols in the dirt with a stick. "Body tempering, the foundation, where the body is strengthened to handle spiritual energy. Qi refinement, where spiritual energy is absorbed and refined. Foundation establishment, the cultivation base is solidified, creating a stable core of energy. Core formation, the core forms, dramatically increasing power and spiritual capacity. Nascent soul, a cultivator's soul takes form, granting immense spiritual control. Soul manifestation, the soul becomes tangible, capable of exerting direct influence. Sky ascension, a profound stage where cultivators connect to the heavens, gaining control over the elements. Earth immortal, the threshold of mortality, where cultivators transcend physical limitations. Heavenly immortal, immortals of this level are rare, their power rivaling natural disasters. Celestial king, rulers among immortals, capable of shaping the world itself. Celestial sovereign, legendary beings, said to control the stars and realms. The remaining realms, divine monarch, primordial saint, true divinity, and eternal celestial, were more mysterious, existing in the legends of cultivators. As you climb higher, the challenges will grow exponentially, Lin Chen continued. But never forget, a strong foundation is the key to reaching the heavens. The green pine forest. The dense expanse of the green pine forest greeted them on the third day of travel. Towering trees stretched toward the sky, their thick canopies casting deep shadows over the forest floor. The air was heavy with the scent of pine and the faint hum of spiritual energy. "Master," Zhao Tian said, peering into the trees, "this place feels alive." Lin Chen nodded. "It's filled with spiritual beasts. Many are harmless, but some will see us as intruders." As they ventured deeper, the forest's tranquility was disrupted by rustling in the underbrush. A pack of shadow wolves emerged, their glowing eyes fixed on the group. "Form a defensive position," Lin Chen ordered, stepping forward. Zhao Tian and Shui Yan drew their weapons, their stances steady but tense. The wolves attacked in unison, their movements swift and coordinated. Lin Chen intercepted the leader with a swift palm strike, sending it crashing into a tree. Shui Yan used his wind shadow steps to evade a snapping maw, striking back with his dagger. Zhao Tian, though still new to combat, managed to channel his qi into his sword, fending off another wolf. Within moments, the pack retreated, leaving the group unscathed. "Well done," Lin Chen said, nodding at his disciples. "You're improving." Arrival at Azure Dawn City. A week later, they emerged from the forest and arrived at Azure Dawn City, a bustling metropolis larger than Azure Sky City. The streets were filled with cultivators from various sects, merchants peddling rare goods, and travelers from distant lands. This place is massive, Shuiyan said, his eyes wide. Lin Chen led them to a modest inn in the city's outskirts. We'll rest here for a few days, he said. I need to gather information about the tournament and the academy. That evening, as Lin Chen sipped tea in the inn's common room, he overheard a conversation between two men at a nearby table. Did you hear about the waste from the Bai clan? One of them said. Bai Hao, the one born with a sealed divine spirit body. Sealed or not, a divine spirit body is rare, the other replied. If someone could awaken it, he'd be unstoppable. Lin Chen's interest was piqued. A divine spirit body was a constitution blessed by the heavens, capable of tremendous cultivation potential. However, a sealed one required immense effort and skill to awaken. Bai Hao, Lin Chen thought. Perhaps fate has brought me here for a reason. Meeting Bai Hao. The next day, Lin Chen sought out the Bai clan's residence, a sprawling estate in the city's inner district. Though it was evident that the clan was once powerful, the faded banners and worn walls spoke of decline. He found Bai Hao in a neglected courtyard, practicing with a wooden sword. The boy was thin and pale, his movements stiff and awkward. Who are you? Bai Hao asked, lowering his sword. A passerby, Lin Chen replied, his tone calm. I've heard of your situation. Would you like to change your fate? Bai Hao's eyes narrowed. Are you here to mock me like the others? Lin Chen shook his head. I see potential in you. You possess a divine spirit body, but it's sealed. If you trust me, I can help you awaken it. Bai Hao hesitated, skepticism warring with hope. Why would you help me? Because everyone deserves a chance to reach their potential, Lin Chen said simply. After a long pause, Bai Hao nodded. If you can help me, I'll follow you. The Awakening. That evening, Lin Chen began the process of unsealing Bai Hao's divine spirit body. He guided the boy into a meditative state, channeling his own qi into Bai Hao's meridians. The system's voice echoed in Lin Chen's mind. Sealing formation detected. Host's energy is sufficient to break the seal. Warning, this process may cause temporary instability in the subject's qi. Lin Chen focused, his spiritual energy surging into Bai Hao's body. The seal resisted at first, but with precise control, he unraveled it layer by layer. As the seal broke, a brilliant light enveloped Bai Hao. His aura transformed, radiating power and purity. I can feel it, Bai Hao said, his voice trembling. My body, it's alive. The system chimed again. Disciple acquired, Bai Hao. Host will now receive cultivation gains at 10x efficiency. Lin Chen felt a surge of energy flood his body, his cultivation advancing to Qi refinement stage 9. He exhaled slowly, stabilizing his newfound power. From now on, you are my disciple, Lin Chen said, placing a hand on Bai Hao's shoulder. Follow my teachings, and your path will become clear. Bai Hao knelt, his expression filled with gratitude. Thank you, Master. I won't disappoint you. The trio had now grown into a quartet, and with Bai Hao's divine spirit body awakened, their journey promised to become even more extraordinary. But Lin Chen knew their challenges were only beginning. Chapter 9, A New Bond. The soft light of dawn seeped into the Bai clan courtyard as Bai Hao practiced under Lin Chen's watchful gaze. His movements were fluid now, brimming with newfound energy. Each swing of his sword carried a subtle yet powerful resonance, as if the air itself bowed to his will. You're adapting quickly, Lin Chen said, arms crossed. It feels natural, Bai Hao admitted, sheathing his blade. I've never felt so alive before. Thank you, Master. Lin Chen gave a slight nod. The divine spirit body is a gift, but it's also a burden. You'll need rigorous training to control its power. If left unchecked, it can consume you. Bai Hao's face grew serious, and he bowed. I'll follow your guidance without hesitation. Shuiyan and Zhao Tian watched from a distance, both impressed and curious. Master is really amazing, Shuiyan whispered. He awakened a sealed divine spirit body as if it was nothing. Bai Hao might be younger than us, Zhao Tian said, but I can already feel his potential. We'll need to work harder if we want to keep up. planning the next move. Later that evening, the group gathered in their room. Lin Shen spread a map on the table, its surface marked with various cities, sects, and danger zones. Our destination is Azure Sky Academy, Lin Shen began. The tournament is in 2 months, giving us some time to prepare. However, the journey won't be easy. There are several obstacles we'll need to navigate. Obstacles? Bai Hao asked, leaning closer. Lin Shen pointed to a marked area on the map. The Iron Blood Pass. It's the fastest route, but it's also infested with bandits. We'll need to stay vigilant. Can't we take another path? Shui Yan asked. We could, Lin Shen said, but the alternative would delay us by at least 3 weeks. Time is of the essence. The disciples exchanged uncertain looks but nodded. They trusted Lin Shen's judgment. Iron Blood Pass. 3 days later, they reached the entrance to the Iron Blood Pass. The narrow trail wound through jagged cliffs, with dense forests below and towering peaks above. This place gives me a bad feeling, Zhao Tian muttered, gripping his sword. Stay focused, Lin Shen said. Bandits thrive on fear and hesitation. As they ventured deeper, the tension in the air grew thicker. The rustling of leaves and occasional bird calls were the only sounds. Lin Shen's sharp eyes scanned the surroundings, his spiritual sense extended like an invisible net. Stop, he ordered suddenly. The group froze. A faint sound, like a bowstring being drawn, echoed through the pass. Lin Shen reacted instantly, pushing his disciples behind him as an arrow shot toward them. With a flick of his wrist, he caught it mid-air. Come out, Lin Shen called, his voice calm but firm. From the shadows emerged a group of men armed with swords, axes, and bows. Their leader, a scarred man with a cruel grin, stepped forward. Well, the man said, his voice dripping with mockery. A group of travelers daring to cross the Iron Blood Pass without paying tribute? You've got guts. Lin Shen's gaze was icy. Leave now, and I'll let you live. The bandits burst into laughter. You've got jokes too, the leader said, drawing his blade. Get them. The bandits charged, but Lin Shen was already moving. With a single step, he appeared in front of the leader and struck his chest with a palm strike. The man flew backward, crashing into a boulder. Zhao Tian, Shui Yan, and Bai Hao sprang into action. Remember your training. Lin Shen shouted. Zhao Tian focused on channeling his calm sea method, his sword strikes steady and precise. Shui Yan used his wind shadow steps to weave between opponents, striking with agility and precision. Bai Hao, though inexperienced in combat, tapped into his divine spirit body's latent energy, overwhelming his attackers with raw power. Within minutes, the bandits were subdued. Lin Shen stood over the groaning leader. Consider this mercy, he said. If I hear of your group troubling travelers again, I won't be so lenient. The man nodded frantically, and Lin Shen motioned for his disciples to move on. Strength in unity. That night, as they camped under the stars, Lin Shen reflected on their performance. You're improving, he told his disciples. But you still have much to learn. Master, Bai Hao said hesitantly, I'm sorry for being so reckless. I let my emotions control me. Lin Shen shook his head. Your strength is impressive, but you need discipline to wield it effectively. That's what we'll focus on in the coming weeks. The disciples nodded, their resolve firm. Cultivation insights. As the group continued their journey, Lin Shen used every opportunity to impart knowledge. During one evening lesson, he explained a crucial principle of cultivation. Strength isn't just about power, he said, sitting cross-legged by the fire. It's about balance. Cultivators who chase power recklessly often burn out or lose their way. True strength comes from harmony between mind, body, and spirit. How do we achieve that? Shui Yan asked. Through patience and perseverance, Lin Shen replied. Every challenge you face is a step toward harmony. Embrace them, and you'll grow stronger. Approaching the city of Clear Sky. A week later, the group reached the outskirts of Clear Sky City, a bustling hub known for its markets and martial schools. Clear Sky City is our last stop before Azure Sky Academy, Lin Shen said. We'll rest here for a few days and gather supplies. As they entered the city, Lin Shen felt a familiar ripple of spiritual energy. He glanced toward the market district, where a group of cultivators in matching robes was arguing. The Iron Blade sect, Lin Shen thought, recognizing their insignia. So they've reached this far. For now, he decided to avoid conflict. Stay low-key, he reminded his disciples. But as fate would have it, trouble had a way of finding them. Chapter 10, Trouble in Clear Sky City. The bustling streets of Clear Sky City were a cacophony of sound and energy. Merchants shouted to advertise their wares, cultivators haggled over spiritual herbs and weapons, and the aroma of street food wafted through the air. Lin Shen and his disciples moved cautiously through the crowd, their humble robes allowing them to blend in with the throng. Master, the city is huge, Shui Yan said, his eyes wide as he took in the sights. It's easy to get lost here, Lin Shen warned. Stay close and avoid unnecessary attention. Despite Lin Shen's advice, a tense energy lingered in the air. As they passed a marketplace, Lin Shen's sharp eyes caught sight of a group of cultivators in the distinct robes of the Iron Blade sect. They stood near a weapon vendor, their expressions smug and domineering as they argued with the merchant. Lin Shen's gaze hardened. Though he had dealt with their branch in Azure Sky City, he knew the sect was vast, with its influence stretching across the region. He decided to steer his disciples away from the scene, but fate had other plans. The confrontation. As they turned a corner, a loud crash drew their attention. The weapon vendor had been shoved to the ground, his wares scattered. Do you think you can cheat the Iron Blade sect? One of the cultivators snarled, his voice dripping with malice. Please, the merchant stammered, bowing repeatedly. I didn't mean any offense. The prices are fair. Fair, the man sneered, drawing his blade. How dare you argue with me? Before he could strike, a calm voice interrupted him. That's enough. The Iron Blade sect cultivators turned to see Lin Shen standing a few paces away, his expression unreadable. His disciples stood behind him, their hands inching toward their weapons. And who are you to meddle in our business? The leader demanded. Just a passerby, Lin Shen replied evenly. But bullying a defenseless merchant isn't the way of a true cultivator. The man's face twisted in anger. You dare insult the Iron Blade sect? You must have a death wish. Lin Shen sighed. I warned you. Before the man could react, Lin Shen closed the distance between them. With a flick of his wrist, he disarmed the cultivator, sending the blade clattering to the ground. The other sect members froze, their confidence wavering. You'll regret this, the leader sputtered, clutching his wrist. Leave, Lin Shen said, his voice cold. And tell your sect to stay out of trouble. The cultivators hesitated but ultimately fled, dragging their injured leader with them. Thank you, sir, the merchant said, bowing repeatedly. Lin Shen offered a small nod. Be careful in the future. An unexpected encounter. As they continued through the city, Lin Shen felt a familiar ripple of spiritual energy. It was faint but unmistakable, someone nearby possessed a rare and powerful constitution. Master? Bai Hao asked, noticing Lin Shen's sudden pause. Follow me, Lin Shen said, leading them toward a quiet alleyway near the city's inner district. There, they found a young man sitting against a wall, his clothes tattered and his face pale. His eyes were hollow, and his breathing was labored. Help, the young man whispered weakly. Lin Shen knelt beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. A surge of spiritual energy flowed through the boy, revealing his condition. He's been poisoned, Lin Shen said. But that's not all, his body contains traces of an unawakened divine body. The disciples exchanged surprised glances. A divine body? Zhao Tian asked. Like Bai Hao? Lin Shen nodded. But this one is different. It's the Azure Dragon bloodline, a constitution connected to ancient beasts. If awakened, it grants immense physical strength and regenerative abilities. Can you help him, Master? Shui Yan asked. I'll try, Lin Shen said. The cleansing ritual. Back at their inn, Lin Chen prepared to cleanse the poison from the young man's body. He instructed his disciples to guard the room, ensuring they wouldn't be interrupted. "Drink this," Lin Chen said, handing the boy a vial of spiritual cleansing elixir. The boy hesitated before taking it, his eyes filled with a mix of fear and hope. Lin Chen placed his hands over the boy's chest, channeling his qi into the meridians clogged with poison. The process was delicate, requiring precise control to expel the toxins without causing further damage. Beads of sweat formed on Lin Chen's brow as the system chimed in his mind. Detected latent divine body. Host's intervention will awaken 50% of its potential. Proceed? Yes, Lin Chen thought. The boy's body trembled as the azure dragon bloodline began to stir. A faint glow emanated from his skin, and his breathing steadied. "It's working," Lin Chen murmured. After an hour, the process was complete. The boy opened his eyes, which now glowed faintly with a cerulean hue. "I feel stronger," he said, his voice filled with awe. "You're not fully awakened yet," Lin Chen said. "But your condition is stable. What's your name?" "Long Tian," the boy replied, bowing deeply. "Thank you for saving me, senior." "I'm no senior," Lin Chen said. "But if you're willing to learn, I can help you reach your potential." Long Tian's eyes widened. "You'd take me as your disciple?" Lin Chen nodded. "You have the potential to achieve great things, but only if you're willing to put in the effort." "I'll do anything," Long Tian said, bowing again. The system chimed once more. Disciple acquired, Long Tian. Host will now receive cultivation gains at 10x efficiency. Lin Chen felt another surge of energy, advancing his cultivation to Foundation Establishment Stage 1. He exhaled, stabilizing the breakthrough. "Rest for now," Lin Chen told Long Tian. "We'll begin your training tomorrow." The gathering storm. As Lin Chen's group grew stronger, trouble brewed in the shadows. The Iron Blade sect had sent word of their defeat, and their higher-ups were furious. Meanwhile, rumors of Lin Chen's exploits began to spread, drawing the attention of powerful figures in Clear Sky City. Unbeknownst to Lin Chen, his journey was about to take a dramatic turn. Chapter 11: Seeds of Conflict. The morning sun painted Clear Sky City in hues of gold, casting long shadows across the bustling streets. Lin Chen's group had taken a short respite after awakening Long Tian's azure dragon bloodline. While Long Tian rested, Lin Chen meditated in the courtyard of their inn, stabilizing his recent breakthrough to the Foundation Establishment Stage 1. His cultivation grew stronger with every disciple he accepted, but he remained cautious. The higher he climbed, the more attention he risked attracting. Lin Chen had no intention of revealing his system or his power to the world yet. "Master," Shui Yan called softly, approaching with Zhao Tian. "We've scouted the city. The Iron Blade sect seems to have increased their presence." Lin Chen opened his eyes. "Did they notice you?" "No," Zhao Tian said. "We stayed inconspicuous, as you instructed." "Good. Keep it that way," Lin Chen said. "The Iron Blade sect won't forget our encounter, but we won't provoke them further unless necessary." Long Tian's resolve. Inside the inn, Long Tian sat cross-legged, his aura faint but steady. He was already practicing basic breathing techniques under Lin Chen's guidance. Though his constitution had awakened partially, it would take time and effort to unlock its full potential. "Master," Long Tian said as Lin Chen entered the room. "Thank you for saving me. I'll do everything I can to prove myself worthy." Lin Chen nodded. "Your path won't be easy, but I believe in your potential. Begin by focusing on strengthening your foundation. Your Azure Dragon bloodline will amplify your physical strength, but you must learn control before power." "Yes, Master," Long Tian said, determination shining in his eyes. The city's power structure. Later that day, Lin Chen called his disciples together to explain the situation in Clear Sky City. "Clear Sky City isn't just a hub for merchants and travelers," Lin Chen said, unrolling a detailed map on the table. "It's also a center of power. Several factions operate here, and each one has its own interests. The Iron Blade sect is just one of them," Lin Chen continued. But they're not the strongest. The Crimson Lotus Pavilion and the Thunder Sword Clan hold more influence. For now, our goal is to avoid conflict and prepare for the Azure Sky Academy tournament. What happens if one of these factions targets us? Zhao Tian asked. Then we respond accordingly, Lin Chen said, his tone calm but firm. But remember, staying low-key is our best defense. The first lesson. That evening, Lin Chen took Long Tian outside the city to begin his training. The quiet forest offered a safe space for practice, away from prying eyes. Your Azure Dragon bloodline is powerful, but it's also volatile, Lin Chen explained. Without discipline, it could harm you as much as your enemies. What should I do, Master? Long Tian asked. Focus on breathing techniques to stabilize your energy, Lin Chen said. We'll start with the Dragon's Breath method, which complements your bloodline. As Long Tian followed Lin Chen's instructions, a faint azure glow surrounded his body. The energy within him surged and swirled, but Lin Chen's steady guidance helped him maintain control. Good, Lin Chen said after an hour. You're making progress. But remember, this is only the beginning. The Gathering Storm. Unbeknownst to Lin Chen, the Iron Blade sect had sent word of their defeat to their higher-ups. In a lavish hall within the sect's Clear Sky City branch, several elders gathered to discuss the matter. This Lin Chen, one elder said, stroking his beard. Who is he to challenge our authority? An unknown figure, another replied. But his strength is undeniable. We can't let this insult go unpunished. We should send our elite disciples to deal with him, the first elder suggested. No, a cold voice interrupted. It belonged to Elder Han, a powerful cultivator with a reputation for ruthlessness. We'll handle this carefully. If we attack rashly, we risk provoking other factions. Instead, we'll watch him for now and strike when the time is right. Unexpected trouble. Back at the inn, Lin Chen meditated in his room when the system chimed. Warning, host is being monitored by hostile entities. Recommend increasing vigilance. Lin Chen's eyes snapped open, his spiritual sense extending outward. He detected faint traces of qi lingering near their inn, a sign that someone had been watching. So they've made their move, Lin Chen thought, his expression calm. The next morning, Lin Chen gathered his disciples and explained the situation. We're being watched, Lin Chen said. But don't panic. We'll stay one step ahead of them. What should we do, Master? Shui Yan asked. We'll continue training as planned, Lin Chen replied. But be prepared for anything. A new challenge. As the days passed, Long Tian's progress impressed Lin Chen. His Azure Dragon bloodline grew stronger with each practice session, and Lin Chen could feel the cultivation boost from his efforts. One evening, as the group trained in the forest, a messenger arrived bearing a sealed letter. It's an invitation, Lin Chen said after reading it. From the Crimson Lotus Pavilion. They're hosting a gathering for prominent cultivators. Should we go? Zhao Tian asked. Lin Chen thought for a moment before nodding. Yes. It's an opportunity to gather information and assess the city's power structure. But remember, we must stay low-key. The Gathering. The Crimson Lotus Pavilion was a grand building adorned with red lanterns and intricate carvings. As Lin Chen and his disciples entered, they were greeted by a servant who led them to a large hall filled with cultivators from various factions. Lin Chen's sharp eyes scanned the room, noting the presence of several powerful figures. Among them was Elder Han of the Iron Blade sect, whose gaze lingered on Lin Chen for a moment before turning away. Be cautious, Lin Chen whispered to his disciples. The night proceeded without incident, but Lin Chen could sense the underlying tension in the room. As the gathering concluded, a young man approached him. You must be Lin Chen, the man said, his tone respectful. And you are? Lin Chen asked. Zhou Ming, an elder disciple of the Crimson Lotus Pavilion, he replied. I've heard of your strength. Perhaps we could spar sometime. Lin Chen smiled faintly. Perhaps. The gathering ended without conflict, but Lin Chen knew the calm wouldn't last. As the group returned to their inn, he couldn't shake the feeling that the days ahead would bring new challenges and new opportunities. Chapter 12: Rising Tensions in Clear Sky City. The moon hung high over Clear Sky City, casting its silvery light over the bustling streets. Despite the late hour, Lin Chen sat cross-legged in his room, deep in meditation. The system had been quiet since its warning, but Lin Chen trusted its instincts. His disciples had retired for the night, their breathing steady from the adjacent rooms. Long Tian, in particular, was progressing rapidly, his azure dragon bloodline growing stronger with each passing day. Lin Chen could feel the energy siphoned from Long Tian's cultivation, boosting his own strength exponentially. Host's cultivation has advanced to Foundation Establishment Stage 2. The familiar rush of power coursed through Lin Chen as his meridians expanded and strengthened. Though the boost was significant, Lin Chen remained calm. The cultivation world was vast, and there were many stronger than him. Slow and steady, he murmured to himself. The higher I climb, the more dangerous the journey. Unwanted attention. The following morning, Lin Chen gathered his disciples in the inn's courtyard. As they sparred and practiced their techniques, a pair of eyes watched from the shadows. I found him, the spy muttered, retreating into the crowd. The Ironblade sect's interest in Lin Chen had only grown since their last encounter. Elder Han had dispatched several spies to monitor him, and now they had gathered enough information to act. Master, Shui Yan said, breaking Lin Chen's thoughts. Should we continue training here? The city feels tense. You're not wrong, Lin Chen replied, scanning the streets beyond the courtyard. We'll train for one more day. After that, we'll move to the outskirts of the city to avoid unnecessary trouble. Master, Long Tian spoke up, his voice resolute. I've been feeling stronger lately. I think I'm ready for more advanced techniques. Lin Chen studied Long Tian carefully. The young man's qi was stable, and his confidence was well-founded. Very well, Lin Chen said. Tonight, we'll begin the Azure Dragon's Wrath technique. It will push your limits but also unlock more of your bloodline's potential. Trouble at the pavilion. As night fell, Lin Chen received another message, this time from Zhou Ming of the Crimson Lotus Pavilion. The letter read: Lin Chen, trouble brews in Clear Sky City. Elder Han of the Ironblade sect seeks to challenge you publicly. A confrontation seems inevitable. If you wish to avoid it, I suggest leaving the city at once. Lin Chen's brow furrowed. While he had no desire for conflict, retreating now would only embolden his enemies. What's wrong, master? I Hao asked, noticing Lin Chen's expression. The Ironblade sect is making their move, Lin Chen said. But we won't back down. Strength is the only language they understand. The public challenge. The next day, word spread quickly through the city. Elder Han had issued an open challenge to Lin Chen. In the central plaza, a crowd of cultivators gathered to witness the spectacle. Elder Han stood at the center, his aura oppressive as he addressed the crowd. This so-called Lin Chen has insulted the Ironblade sect one too many times, Elder Han declared. If he has any honor, he'll face me in a duel. Lin Chen arrived moments later, his disciples close behind. Despite the murmurs and whispers from the crowd, Lin Chen's expression remained calm. I didn't insult the Ironblade sect, Lin Chen said, stepping forward. But I won't tolerate bullying or injustice. If you want to fight, I'll oblige. Elder Han smirked. Bold words for someone so young. Let's see if you can back them up. The duel. The crowd fell silent as Lin Chen and Elder Han faced off. Elder Han drew his blade, its edge gleaming with qi-infused energy. Lin Chen, unarmed, stood with his hands behind his back. Not drawing a weapon? Elder Han sneered. Arrogance will be your downfall. Lin Chen didn't respond. He simply raised one hand, channeling his qi. Elder Han lunged, his blade slicing through the air with deadly precision. But before the attack could land, Lin Chen sidestepped effortlessly, his movements calm and fluid. The duel continued, with Elder Han growing increasingly frustrated. No matter how many techniques he used, Lin Chen evaded them all with ease. You're toying with me. Elder Han roared, unleashing a powerful slash that sent a wave of energy toward Lin Chen. Lin Chen raised his hand, forming a barrier of pure qi that deflected the attack. Then, with a single step forward, he struck Elder Han's chest with a palm strike. Elder Han staggered back, his face pale. The crowd erupted in murmurs, shocked by Lin Chen's overwhelming strength. "This duel is over," Lin Chen said. "Learn your lesson and stop causing trouble." Elder Han clenched his fists but didn't argue. He knew he had lost. Aftermath. As Lin Chen and his disciples left the plaza, Zhou Ming approached them. "That was impressive," Zhou Ming said. "But you've made powerful enemies today." "I didn't make enemies," Lin Chen replied. "They chose to oppose me. If they continue, they'll only bring ruin upon themselves." Zhou Ming chuckled. "You're bold, Lin Chen. I hope we can be allies in the future." Lin Chen nodded but didn't commit. Trust was a rare commodity in the cultivation world. A new direction. That night, Lin Chen called his disciples together. "We're leaving Clear Sky City tomorrow," Lin Chen announced. "The situation here is too volatile. We'll head to the Thousand Rivers region, where we can train in peace." "But what about the Iron Blade sect?" Zhao Tian asked. "They won't dare attack openly for now," Lin Chen said. "And if they do, we'll be ready." The group packed their belongings, preparing for the journey ahead. As they departed the next morning, Lin Chen couldn't shake the feeling that their journey was only beginning and that greater challenges awaited them in the future. Chapter 13, Journey to the Thousand Rivers region. The sun broke through the morning mist as Lin Chen and his disciples left Clear Sky City behind. The Ironblade sect's influence still lingered in the city, and though Elder Han had been defeated, Lin Chen knew it was only a matter of time before the sect made another move. Their path took them toward the Thousand Rivers region, a vast and fertile land known for its spiritual energy and unique cultivation opportunities. The region's many rivers were said to be connected to ancient formations that enhanced one's ability to absorb qi, making it a haven for cultivators seeking to advance. "Master," Zhao Tian said, riding alongside Lin Chen. "Why the Thousand Rivers region? Is it to avoid the sects in Clear Sky City?" "Partly," Lin Chen replied. "But more importantly, it's a place where you can all grow stronger. The spiritual energy there is abundant, and the terrain will challenge you to adapt your techniques." Shui Yan nodded, her expression serious. "I've read about the region. It's also home to fierce beasts and rival factions. We'll have to be cautious." "Exactly," Lin Chen said. "Stay vigilant. And remember, our goal is to remain low-key. Avoid unnecessary conflicts." The Thousand Rivers region. After several days of travel, the group arrived at the outskirts of the Thousand Rivers region. The air was thick with spiritual energy, and the sound of flowing water filled their ears. As they entered, Lin Chen felt a slight resistance, an invisible barrier surrounding the region. It was faint but unmistakable, a remnant of the ancient formations said to guard the land. "This place feels alive," Long Tian said, his eyes wide with awe. "It is," Lin Chen said. "The rivers here aren't ordinary. Some are infused with elemental energy, while others contain remnants of ancient qi. Use this to your advantage during training." The group set up a temporary camp near one of the smaller rivers. The water shimmered with a faint blue light, evidence of the spiritual energy it carried. "Start by meditating near the river," Lin Chen instructed. "Focus on harmonizing your qi with the flow of the water. This will help you adapt to the region's energy." Long Tian's breakthrough. As the group trained, Lin Chen kept a close eye on Long Tian. His Azure Dragon bloodline was particularly attuned to the energy in the region, and Lin Chen knew this environment could unlock more of his potential. "Master," Long Tian said one evening, "I feel something stirring within me. It's as if the river's energy is resonating with my bloodline." Lin Chen nodded. "Good. That means your bloodline is awakening further. Focus on that connection, but don't rush. Let the energy flow naturally." Long Tian closed his eyes and began to meditate. The air around him seemed to ripple, and faint traces of dragon-shaped qi emerged from his body. Lin Chen watched with satisfaction, knowing that Long Tian was on the verge of a breakthrough. By dawn, Long Tian opened his eyes, his aura noticeably stronger. "I've reached the second level of qi condensation," Long Tian exclaimed, his face glowing with excitement. "Well done," Lin Chen said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "But remember, this is just the beginning. Each breakthrough comes with new challenges. A new disciple appears." As they explored deeper into the region, Lin Chen and his disciples came across a bustling town nestled by a large river. The town was filled with merchants, cultivators, and fishermen, all thriving on the river's bounty. Among the crowd, Lin Chen noticed a young man sitting by the riverbank, his clothes tattered and his face pale. Despite his weak appearance, there was something extraordinary about him, a faint but undeniable aura that hinted at a hidden power. "Master," Shui Yan said, following his gaze. "That boy, he doesn't look like an ordinary mortal." "You're right," Lin Chen said, approaching the boy. The young man looked up as Lin Chen approached. His eyes were filled with frustration and despair. "Who are you?" the boy asked warily. "My name is Lin Chen," Lin Chen said. "I couldn't help but notice your aura. Tell me, what's troubling you?" The boy hesitated before speaking. "My name is Wu Sheng. I've been trying to cultivate for years, but no matter what I do, I can't make any progress. Everyone calls me a waste." Lin Chen's eyes narrowed as he activated his spiritual sense. Beneath Wu Sheng's seemingly ordinary exterior, Lin Chen detected a dormant energy, a divine body hidden within. "You're not a waste," Lin Chen said. "You have a unique constitution. But it's been suppressed, likely due to improper cultivation methods." Wu Sheng's eyes widened. "You can tell? Can you help me?" "I can," Lin Chen said. "But it will require effort on your part. Are you willing to follow my guidance?" "Yes," Wu Sheng said without hesitation. "Good," Lin Chen said. "Then from this moment on, you're my disciple." Awakening the divine body. That evening, Lin Chen began the process of awakening Wu Sheng's divine body. The task required precision and patience, as the suppression on Wu Sheng's energy was deeply ingrained. "Sit still and focus," Lin Chen said. "I'll guide the flow of your qi and remove the blockages." As Lin Chen worked, golden light began to emanate from Wu Sheng's body. The suppression gradually lifted, revealing a powerful aura that shook the air around them. "What is this?" Wu Sheng asked, his voice trembling. "You possess the celestial river body," Lin Chen said. "It's a rare constitution that allows you to absorb and refine spiritual energy from water-based sources with incredible efficiency. With proper guidance, you'll become a formidable cultivator." Wu Sheng's eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Master. I'll do everything I can to live up to your expectations." Lin Chen's growth. As Wu Sheng began his training, Lin Chen felt the familiar surge of energy from the system. Host has received a tenfold cultivation boost from Wu Sheng's awakening. Current cultivation, Foundation Establishment Stage 3. Lin Chen exhaled slowly, stabilizing his newfound power. While his cultivation advanced rapidly, he remained cautious. Each step forward brought new risks and challenges. "Master," Zhao Tian said, approaching him. "What's our next move?" "For now, we focus on training," Lin Chen said. "The Thousand Rivers region has much to offer. But stay alert. This place may seem peaceful, but danger often hides beneath the surface." With two disciples showing immense potential and a new journey ahead, Lin Chen knew their time in the Thousand Rivers region would shape the path of their destiny. Chapter 14: Training by the Celestial River. The camp near the river bustled with activity. Wu Sheng sat cross-legged on a flat rock, his eyes closed in concentration as the celestial river body within him pulsed with vibrant energy. Lin Chen watched from a distance, carefully monitoring his progress. "Master," Shui Yan said softly, approaching Lin Chen. "How is he progressing?" "Better than I expected," Lin Chen replied. "His divine body is exceptional. Now that we've removed the blockages, his cultivation speed will skyrocket, especially here in the Thousand Rivers region. Wu Sheng's body was bathed in a faint silver-blue glow, the energy of the river flowing into him like a gentle stream. The water around him rippled unnaturally, drawn to his presence. "Master," Wu Sheng said, opening his eyes. His voice trembled with emotion. "I've broken through to the first level of qi condensation." Lin Chen smiled faintly. "Good. But this is only the start. Don't let your progress make you complacent." A lesson in teamwork. Lin Chen gathered all his disciples by the riverbank, the sunlight reflecting off the water like shards of glass. "Today, we focus on teamwork," Lin Chen announced. "Each of you has unique strengths, but true power comes when you can support each other." He paired them into groups, Long Tian and Zhao Tian, Shui Yan and Bai Hao, and Wu Sheng on his own against the others. "Why am I alone, Master?" Wu Sheng asked hesitantly. "You have the celestial river body," Lin Chen said. "Your constitution makes you exceptionally attuned to water-based environments. Learning to control the battlefield here will be your test." The exercises began, with each group working to outmaneuver and counter the other. Long Tian's overwhelming strength clashed with Zhao Tian's sharp tactics, while Shui Yan's precise strikes kept Bai Hao on the defensive. Wu Sheng, however, struggled to hold his ground. "I can't keep up," Wu Sheng muttered as a wave of qi from Bai Hao forced him back. "Stop panicking," Lin Chen called out. "Feel the flow of the river. Let it guide you." Taking a deep breath, Wu Sheng closed his eyes and focused. The water around him surged, forming a barrier that deflected Bai Hao's next attack. The young cultivator's confidence grew as he adapted to the rhythm of the battle. By the end of the session, Wu Sheng was drenched in sweat but smiling. "Master, I did it." "You did well," Lin Chen said. "But remember, battles are unpredictable. Always be prepared for the unexpected." The shadow in the forest. That evening, Lin Chen sensed something unusual. While his disciples rested, he walked to the edge of the camp, his senses heightened. The gentle hum of the river was interrupted by the faint rustle of leaves and the quiet murmur of voices. "Who's there?" Lin Chen called out, his voice calm but firm. The shadows shifted, and a group of men stepped forward, their faces partially hidden by cloaks. Their auras were sharp, and Lin Chen could tell they were no ordinary travelers. "You're Lin Chen, aren't you?" the leader asked, his tone laced with hostility. "And if I am?" Lin Chen replied, his hands behind his back. "We're from the Silver Vein Society. This region belongs to us. Outsiders like you have no right to train here." Lin Chen chuckled softly. "The Thousand Rivers region belongs to no one. But if you're here to cause trouble, I suggest you leave now." The men exchanged glances before the leader sneered. "Arrogant brat. Let's see if you're as strong as they say." A silent display of power. The men attacked in unison, their qi-infused strikes cutting through the air. Lin Chen didn't move, his expression unchanged as the first wave of attacks approached. With a flick of his sleeve, Lin Chen released a burst of energy that neutralized the attacks effortlessly. The force sent the men staggering back, their faces pale with shock. "This is your only warning," Lin Chen said, his voice cold. "Leave, or you'll regret it." The men hesitated before retreating into the forest, their bravado replaced by fear. From the camp, Long Tian and Zhao Tian approached, their weapons drawn. "Master, what happened?" Long Tian asked. "Nothing to worry about," Lin Chen said. "Just some unwelcome guests. But be vigilant. The Thousand Rivers region isn't as peaceful as it seems." The Celestial River Cavern. The next morning, Lin Chen led his disciples along the river to a hidden cavern he had sensed during his meditation. The cavern entrance was partially submerged, the water glowing faintly with spiritual energy. "This place feels different," Shui Yan said, her voice filled with awe. "It's the source of the river's energy," Lin Chen explained. "A natural formation that amplifies spiritual power. Training here will yield great benefits, but it's also dangerous. The energy is too potent for those who aren't prepared." Lin Chen instructed his disciples to form a protective array while he entered the cavern alone. The air inside was thick with energy, and the walls sparkled with crystalline formations. At the center of the cavern, Lin Chen found a pool of liquid qi, its surface shimmering like molten silver. He sat by the pool and began to meditate, drawing the energy into his body. The process was intense, the qi surging through his meridians like a raging river. Host has absorbed purified qi from the celestial river pool. Current cultivation, foundation establishment stage 4. As Lin Chen stabilized his energy, he felt the system's familiar presence. Host has triggered a hidden quest, explore the Thousand Rivers formation. Rewards, increased cultivation efficiency, rare treasures. A hidden quest? Lin Chen murmured. Interesting. He exited the cavern and found his disciples waiting, their auras stronger from the array's effects. Master, did you find anything? Bai Hao asked. Yes, Lin Chen said. But this is just the beginning. The Thousand Rivers region holds many secrets. We'll train here until you're all ready for the challenges ahead. A new chapter begins. As the group settled into their new training routine, Lin Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. The Thousand Rivers region was vast and full of opportunities, but it was also fraught with danger. For now, they were safe. But Lin Chen knew it wouldn't last. The cultivation world was unforgiving, and their journey was only just beginning. Chapter 15, The Fifth Disciple and the System's Evolution. The morning sun cast a golden glow over the Thousand Rivers region as Lin Chen and his disciples prepared to resume their training. Wu Shang, now radiating the faint but unmistakable aura of the celestial river body, sparred with Long Tian by the riverbank. The sound of clashing qi and heavy footsteps echoed through the forest, a testament to their growing strength. Lin Chen, seated on a flat boulder nearby, sipped tea and observed their progress. Each disciple had grown significantly under his guidance, but the system's familiar voice had been unusually quiet. Host is nearing a major milestone. Prepare for system evolution upon accepting the fifth disciple. Lin Chen frowned slightly. A new disciple? He hadn't planned to take another so soon. Master, Shui Yan said, interrupting his thoughts. There's a commotion in the nearby town. Should we investigate? Lin Chen's eyes narrowed. Gather the others. Let's see what's going on. The fifth disciple. The town was bustling with activity as Lin Chen and his disciples arrived. A crowd had gathered near the town square, where a young woman knelt on the ground, her clothes tattered and her face pale. She's a waste, someone in the crowd shouted. Why does she keep trying to cultivate? Lin Chen's gaze sharpened as he focused on the girl. Her energy was faint, almost non-existent, but there was something hidden beneath the surface, a suppressed power, similar to Wu Sheng's divine body. Another one, Lin Chen murmured. Master? Zhao Tian asked. That girl, Lin Chen said. She has potential. Stay here while I investigate. Lin Chen approached the girl, his calm demeanor silencing the crowd. What's your name? He asked gently. The girl looked up, her eyes filled with tears. Li Mei, she whispered. I've tried everything, but I can't cultivate. The elders say I'm a waste. Lin Chen crouched beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. His spiritual sense probed her meridians, and his suspicions were confirmed. Li Mei's body contained a dormant power, a celestialine body, one of the rarest constitutions in the cultivation world. You're not a waste, Lin Chen said. Your potential has been locked away, but I can help you unlock it. Will you follow me? Li Mei's eyes widened. You'd accept me as your disciple? Yes, Lin Chen said. But you must be prepared to work hard. This path won't be easy. I'll do anything. Li Mei said, her voice trembling with determination. The system awakens. As Li Mei spoke the words, Lin Chen felt a sudden surge of energy. Host has accepted the fifth disciple. System evolution in progress. The world around Lin Chen seemed to blur for a moment as the system's voice resonated in his mind. Congratulations, host. The system has upgraded. Disciples now provide a 100 times cultivation boost. New features unlocked: mission system, enhanced disciple tracking, and resource rewards. Lin Chen's expression remained calm, but inwardly, he was stunned. 100 times, he thought. This changes everything. New mission issued: strengthen Li Mei's cultivation within 1 month. Rewards: foundation level treasure, cultivation technique for celestialine body. Lin Chen suppressed a smile. The system's missions would be an invaluable tool for guiding his disciples and himself toward greater strength. Awakening the celestialine body. Back at the camp, Lin Chen began the process of unlocking Li Mei's celestialine body. The task was delicate, requiring precise control of qi to remove the blockages in her meridians. Li Mei, Lin Chen said, his tone firm but reassuring. This will be intense, but you must stay focused. Trust me. Yes, Master, Li Mei said, her voice steady despite her nervousness. As Lin Chen guided his qi into her body, a faint silver light emerged from Li Mei's skin. The air around them grew cold, and a wave of yin energy spread outward, causing the other disciples to shiver. It's incredible, Shui Yan murmured. Her energy feels ancient. After several hours, Lin Chen withdrew his hands, his expression calm. It's done. Your celestialine body is awakened. Begin cultivating immediately to stabilize your power. Li Mei nodded, her face radiant with gratitude. Thank you, Master. I won't let you down. The system's rewards. As Li Mei began her cultivation, Lin Chen felt the system's energy surge through him. Host has received a 100 times cultivation boost from Li Mei's awakening. Current cultivation, Foundation Establishment Stage 7. Lin Chen's qi surged, filling his meridians with immense power. He took a deep breath, stabilizing his energy before standing. Master, Zhao Tian said, his tone cautious. Your aura feels different. Does it? Lin Chen said with a faint smile. Perhaps I'm making progress, just like all of you. Mission complete. Over the next few days, Lin Chen focused on training his disciples. Each of them grew rapidly, their unique constitutions and talents flourishing under his guidance. Li Mei, in particular, made remarkable progress. The celestialine body allowed her to absorb yin energy at an extraordinary rate, and within a week, she reached the second level of qi condensation. Mission complete. Rewards issued: yin condensation technique, silver moon pendant. Lin Chen examined the pendant, its surface etched with intricate runes. It was a treasure designed to enhance yin-based cultivation, a perfect gift for Li Mei. Li Mei, Lin Chen said, handing her the pendant. This will aid you in your training. Use it wisely. Li Mei accepted the pendant with a deep bow. Thank you, Master. I'll work hard to repay your kindness. A new journey. With 5 disciples under his wing and the system's upgrade complete, Lin Chen felt a renewed sense of purpose. The Thousand Rivers region had been a valuable training ground, but it was time to move on. Master, Shui Yan said. Where do we go next? To the Eternal Sky City, Lin Chen said. It's one of the largest cities in the region and a hub for cultivators. There, we'll find new opportunities and new challenges. As the group packed their belongings and prepared to leave, Lin Chen glanced at his disciples, pride filling his heart. Each of them had grown immensely, but the road ahead would only become more treacherous. We've come far, Lin Chen thought. But this is just the beginning. The cultivation world is vast, and our journey has only begun. Chapter 16: Arrival at Eternal Sky City. The journey to Eternal Sky City was a test of endurance and will. The Thousand Rivers region gradually gave way to rolling plains and towering mountains, each step drawing Lin Chen and his disciples closer to the heart of the cultivation world. The city itself loomed on the horizon, an imposing fortress of white stone and golden spires that reached toward the heavens. Its walls shimmered faintly, a testament to the formation arrays that protected it. Eternal Sky City, Zhao Tian murmured, his voice filled with awe. I've heard tales of this place, but seeing it in person. It's more than just a city, Lin Chen said, his tone calm. It's a hub of opportunity and danger. Keep your wits about you. The city's vibrant heart. The streets of Eternal Sky City were alive with activity. Merchants hawked rare herbs and spiritual tools, while cultivators of all levels roamed the markets, their auras radiating confidence and ambition. Lin Chen led his disciples through the bustling crowd, his low-key demeanor ensuring they avoided unnecessary attention. "Master," Wu Shang said, his eyes wide as he gazed at a stall filled with glowing pills. "This place has everything." "Don't get distracted," Lin Chen said. "We're here for two reasons, to secure resources and to train. Anything else is secondary." As they explored, Lin Chen's spiritual sense detected a faint but unusual energy emanating from a side street. His instincts sharpened, and he motioned for his disciples to follow. The group turned a corner and found themselves in a quieter part of the city. At the end of the street stood a crumbling temple, its walls covered in vines. "Master, what is this place?" Shui Yan asked. Lin Chen didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stepped closer, his eyes narrowing as he studied the inscriptions on the temple's entrance. "This temple predates the city," he said. "Its energy suggests it was once a significant cultivation site. We'll investigate later. For now, let's find lodging." The encounter. As the group entered the central plaza, Lin Chen noticed a commotion near a large auction house. A young boy, no older than 15, was being berated by a man in ornate robes. "You dare claim this treasure is yours," the man snarled, his voice dripping with contempt. "A waste like you has no right to possess it." The boy clutched a small jade pendant to his chest, his eyes defiant despite the fear evident in his trembling frame. "It's mine," the boy shouted. "I found it fair and square." The man raised his hand, his chi gathering into a menacing glow, but before he could strike, Lin Chen stepped forward. "Enough," Lin Chen said, his voice calm but commanding. The man froze, his aura faltering as he turned to face Lin Chen. "Who are you to interfere?" Lin Chen's eyes narrowed. "Someone who doesn't tolerate bullies." The man hesitated, sensing the unfathomable depth of Lin Chen's aura. After a moment, he scoffed and walked away, muttering under his breath. The boy stared at Lin Chen, his eyes wide with a mix of gratitude and suspicion. "Are you all right?" Lin Chen asked. The boy nodded slowly. "Thank you, senior." "But, why did you help me?" "Because it was the right thing to do," Lin Chen said. "What's your name?" "Lucian," the boy replied. Lin Chen's spiritual sense swept over the boy, and his heart skipped a beat. Hidden beneath Lucian's unassuming exterior was a celestial thunder body, a rare and powerful constitution. A divine awakening. Back at the inn, Lin Chen spoke privately with Lucian. "Do you know what's inside you?" Lin Chen asked. Lucian shook his head. "The elders in my village said I was a waste. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't cultivate." "You're not a waste," Lin Chen said firmly. "Your potential is extraordinary. With proper guidance, you could surpass even the most gifted cultivators." Lucian's eyes widened. "You really think so?" "I know so," Lin Chen said. "But it won't be easy. If you're willing to work hard, I'll take you as my disciple." Lucian fell to his knees, bowing deeply. "I'll do whatever it takes, master." The system evolves again. As Lucian spoke the words, Lin Chen felt another surge of energy. Host has accepted the sixth disciple. System feature unlocked, Celestial Body Awakening Mode. The system's voice resonated in Lin Chen's mind. Host may now directly awaken latent constitutions in disciples. Awakening process will grant host an additional 100 times cultivation boost. Lin Chen's lips curled into a faint smile. The system's growth was becoming increasingly valuable. The awakening ritual. The process of awakening Lucian's celestial thunder body was even more intense than Wu Shang's transformation. Lin Chen's qi coursed through the boy's meridians, shattering the barriers that had suppressed his potential for years. Electricity crackled in the air, and Lucian's body began to glow with a faint golden light. Thunder rumbled faintly in the distance, as if the heavens themselves acknowledged his transformation. "It's incredible," Bai Hao said, shielding his eyes from the brightness. Lin Chen withdrew his hands, his expression calm despite the immense energy swirling around him. It's done. Your celestial thunder body has awakened. Begin cultivating immediately. Lu Xun nodded, his face glowing with determination. Thank you, Master. I won't let you down. The system's reward. As Lu Xun cultivated, Lin Chen felt a rush of power flood his own meridians. Host has received a 100 times cultivation boost from Lu Xun's awakening. Current cultivation, core formation stage 2. Lin Chen exhaled slowly, stabilizing his energy. The system's enhancements were proving to be an unparalleled advantage. Master, Shuiyan said, her voice filled with awe. Your aura, it's stronger than ever. Lin Chen smiled faintly. We're all progressing. But don't become complacent. This city will test us in ways we haven't yet imagined. Preparing for the auction. The next day, news spread that a grand auction was being held in Eternal Sky City. Rare treasures, cultivation techniques, and even spirit beasts were rumored to be among the items for sale. Master, should we attend? Zhao Tian asked. We'll go, Lin Chen said. Not for the treasures, but for the information. An auction like this will attract powerful cultivators and powerful enemies. As Lin Chen and his disciples prepared to leave for the auction, he couldn't shake the feeling that their time in Eternal Sky City would be a turning point in their journey. Chapter 17, The Grand Auction. The Eternal Sky Auction Hall was a masterpiece of architectural grandeur. Its towering marble pillars and shimmering golden dome loomed over the city's central district, radiating an air of opulence and power. Cultivators from every corner of the region gathered at its gates, their auras varying from chi condensation all the way to nascent soul. Lin Chen and his disciples entered discreetly, keeping a low profile as they navigated the crowd. Their modest robes and subdued auras ensured they attracted no undue attention, just as Lin Chen preferred. Master, Zhao Tian whispered, his eyes scanning the crowd. The energy here is overwhelming. I've never seen so many powerful cultivators in one place. That's the nature of such events, Lin Chen replied calmly. Remember, we're here to observe, not to attract trouble. The group entered the main hall, where rows of tiered seating surrounded a central stage. Luxurious private boxes lined the upper levels, reserved for the wealthiest and most influential participants. Lin Chen chose a modest spot near the back, ensuring they remained inconspicuous. The auction begins. A graceful woman in flowing crimson robes stepped onto the stage, her voice resonating with a faint trace of qi. Welcome, esteemed cultivators, to the Eternal Sky Auction. Today, we present treasures of unparalleled rarity and power. Let the auction begin. The first items were intriguing but unremarkable: rare herbs, low-grade spirit tools, and basic cultivation techniques. Lin Chen noted the enthusiasm with which some participants bid, their wealth a stark contrast to the humble beginnings of his disciples. Master, are we bidding on anything? Shui Yan asked. Not yet, Lin Chen replied. Let the others exhaust their resources first. The most valuable treasures will appear later. The auction continued, the stakes rising with each item. Mid-grade spirit weapons, rare alchemical pills, and even a fragment of a legendary technique drew fierce bidding wars. Then, the atmosphere shifted. The mysterious artifact. Our next item, the auctioneer announced, is a treasure shrouded in mystery. This jade slip contains a fragmented cultivation technique of unknown origin, believed to be from the ancient celestial era. Starting bid, 500,000 spirit stones. The room buzzed with excitement. Techniques from the ancient celestial era were rare and often held secrets to unparalleled power. Lin Chen's eyes narrowed as he focused on the jade slip. His spiritual sense barely penetrated its surface, but what he sensed was enough to pique his interest. Master? Bai Hao asked. Lin Chen held up a hand, signaling silence. He waited as the bidding began. 500,000. 600,000. 800,000. The price climbed rapidly, the atmosphere growing tense as the most powerful cultivators vied for the treasure. Lin Chen remained silent, observing their reactions. Finally, the bidding slowed, and the jade slip was sold for 1.5 million spirit stones to a nascent soul cultivator in a private box. Interesting, Lin Chen murmured. The artifact's true value is hidden. That man may not even realize what he's purchased. A divine weapon appears. As the auction continued, Lin Chen's attention shifted to the next item. Ladies and gentlemen, the auctioneer said, her voice rising with excitement, our next item is a legendary weapon, the Starfall Saber, forged from celestial meteorite steel. Starting bid, 3 million spirit stones. The saber was a masterpiece, its blade shimmering with a faint blue glow. Even from a distance, Lin Chen could feel the weapon's sharpness, its aura resonating with the energy of the stars. Master, that weapon, Wu Sheng said, his voice trailing off in awe. It's extraordinary, Lin Chen admitted. But it's not for us. Such treasures invite trouble. As expected, the bidding escalated quickly. The saber eventually sold for an astronomical 10 million spirit stones, leaving the crowd murmuring in astonishment. Unexpected conflict. As the auction wound down, Lin Chen prepared to leave with his disciples. However, as they reached the exit, a familiar voice stopped them. Well, if it isn't the hero from earlier. Lin Chen turned to see the man he had confronted in the plaza earlier. This time, the man was flanked by two other cultivators, their auras radiating hostility. What do you want? Lin Chen asked calmly. The man sneered. You humiliated me earlier. Now, you'll pay the price. Hand over the boy and everything you've purchased, and I might spare your life. Lin Chen's expression didn't change, but his voice carried a chilling edge. Leave, or you'll regret it. The man laughed, his chi surging as he prepared to attack. His companions followed suit, their energy coiling like serpents. Stay back, Lin Chen said to his disciples. This won't take long. A display of power. As the attackers charged, Lin Chen moved with breathtaking speed. His palm struck the first cultivator, sending him crashing into the wall with a single blow. The second opponent unleashed a flurry of chi attacks, but Lin Chen deflected them effortlessly, his movements precise and fluid. With a flick of his wrist, he sent a pulse of energy that immobilized the man, rendering him powerless. Finally, Lin Chen turned to the leader, who was now trembling with fear. Please, spare me, the man stammered. Lin Chen's gaze was cold. Remember this moment. If I see you again, there will be no mercy. The man fled, dragging his unconscious companions with him. Master, Zhao Tian said, his voice filled with admiration. Your strength is incredible. Lin Chen sighed. Strength is meaningless if it draws unnecessary attention. Let's leave before anyone else notices. The road ahead. Back at their lodging, Lin Chen gathered his disciples. Tomorrow, we'll begin exploring Eternal Sky City's hidden opportunities, he said. There's more to this place than meets the eye. What about the temple we saw earlier? Shui Yan asked. We'll investigate it soon, Lin Chen said. But first, I want all of you to focus on your cultivation. This city is a dangerous place. Only strength will ensure your survival. As his disciples nodded in agreement, Lin Chen leaned back, his mind already planning their next steps. The cultivation world was vast, and Eternal Sky City was only the beginning. Chapter 18, The Hidden Temple. Eternal Sky City stirred to life as the morning sun painted the sky in shades of gold. Lin Chen and his disciples set out early, their destination clear, the crumbling temple hidden in the quieter part of the city. The streets were still and hushed compared to the bustling market districts. When they arrived at the temple's entrance, Lin Chen paused, his gaze lingering on the ancient inscriptions carved into the weathered stone. These symbols, they're not from any cultivation technique I recognize, Lin Chen said, his voice low. They belong to an ancient sect, perhaps one that predated Eternal Sky City itself. Master, could this be dangerous? Shui Yan asked, her tone cautious. Potentially, Lin Chen replied. But great risks often yield great rewards. Stay close and be vigilant. The temple's secrets. As they stepped through the arched doorway, the air grew noticeably colder. The inside of the temple was vast and shrouded in darkness, the faint glow of ancient runes illuminating the path ahead. "This place feels alive," Zhao Tian whispered, his voice echoing off the stone walls. Lin Chen's spiritual sense swept the surroundings. He detected faint traces of qi, old and fragmented, yet potent. "Something lingers here," Lin Chen said. "It's not hostile, but it's powerful. Be respectful and do not touch anything without my permission." Deeper into the temple, they came upon a large chamber. At its center stood an altar, atop which rested a cracked jade orb. Surrounding the altar were 6 statues of robed figures, each holding a different weapon. "This must have been a place of worship," Wushang said, studying the statues. "No," Lin Chen corrected. "This was a cultivation ground. These statues represent the 6 paths of ancient martial arts. The energy here wasn't for worship, it was for enlightenment." The system speaks. System alert, ancient ruins detected. Opportunity available. Mission, investigate the altar and unlock its secrets. Completion reward, unique cultivation technique and 100 times boost for all current disciples. Lin Chen's eyes flickered as he processed the system's notification. The potential reward was extraordinary, but the mission also hinted at hidden dangers. "Stay back," Lin Chen instructed his disciples. "I'll approach the altar alone." "Master, let me help," Bai Hao said. "No. This is something only I can handle," Lin Chen said firmly. The altar's challenge. As Lin Chen stepped closer to the altar, the air around him grew heavy. A voice, deep and resonant, echoed through the chamber. "Who dares disturb the sanctity of the 6 Paths Temple?" Lin Chen stopped, his expression calm. "I am Lin Chen. I seek to uncover the secrets of this place, not to defile it." The jade orb on the altar glowed faintly, and a figure materialized, a translucent image of an elderly man clad in ancient robes. "Lin Chen, your soul bears the mark of an outsider. Yet, your intentions seem pure. Prove your worth, and the temple's secret shall be yours." "What must I do?" Lin Chen asked. "Defeat the guardians of the 6 paths," the figure said, gesturing to the statues. "Only then will you be deemed worthy." The trial begins. The statues came to life, their stone bodies moving with surprising fluidity. Each guardian radiated an aura corresponding to its weapon: blade, spear, bow, staff, fist, and fan. Lin Chen took a deep breath and stepped forward. His disciples watched anxiously, their hands clenched in anticipation. The first guardian, wielding a blade, charged at Lin Chen with a speed that defied its bulky frame. Lin Chen sidestepped the attack, his palm striking the statue's torso with pinpoint accuracy. The guardian shattered into pieces, its energy dissipating. The second and third guardians attacked in unison, the spear thrusting with precision while the bow unleashed a volley of qi arrows. Lin Chen's movements were fluid, his defenses impenetrable. With a sweep of his hand, he redirected the spear's qi into the bow-wielding guardian, reducing both to rubble. "Master is incredible!" Zhao Tian exclaimed, his admiration evident. The remaining guardians advanced, their techniques more intricate and unpredictable. Lin Chen adapted swiftly, countering each move with precision. Within moments, the final guardian crumbled, leaving the chamber eerily silent. The reward. The elder's image reappeared, his expression one of approval. "You have proven yourself worthy, Lin Chen. Take the altar's treasure and use it wisely." The jade orb on the altar cracked further, releasing a burst of golden light. When the light subsided, a scroll hovered in its place. "System alert, host has obtained the ancient celestial technique, 6 Paths Harmony. Compatible with host's disciples for exponential growth. System reward, all disciples receive 100 times cultivation boost for 1 month." Lin Chen caught the scroll and tucked it into his robes. He turned to his disciples, who were watching with wide eyes. "This technique will strengthen all of you," Lin Chen said. "We'll begin practicing it as soon as we leave this place." A new enemy observes. As Lin Chen and his disciples exited the temple, they were unaware of a shadowy figure watching them from a distance. Clad in dark robes, the figure's aura was chilling and sinister. So, the Six Paths Temple has been unsealed, the figure muttered. And that man, he's more dangerous than he appears. I'll have to keep an eye on him. The figure disappeared into the shadows, leaving no trace of his presence. Preparing for the journey ahead. Back at their lodging, Lin Chen gathered his disciples to explain the significance of the Six Paths Harmony technique. This technique is unlike anything you've learned before, Lin Chen said. It's not just about increasing your strength, it's about mastering the balance between offense, defense, and spiritual harmony. The disciples listened intently, their excitement evident. Begin your cultivation immediately, Lin Chen instructed. We don't have much time before the city's power struggles catch up to us. As his disciples meditated, Lin Chen leaned back and closed his eyes. The system's rewards had elevated his strength and that of his disciples, but he knew that every breakthrough would attract more enemies. The path ahead will only grow more treacherous, Lin Chen thought. But with the system and my disciples, I'll forge a legacy that even the heavens can't ignore. Chapter 19, The Divine Body Awakened. Eternal Sky City was a sprawling metropolis, with its towering walls and grand architecture that gave off an air of unassailable authority. Within its bustling streets, cultivators of all levels competed for resources, status, and recognition. Lin Chen, however, continued to keep a low profile with his disciples, even after their profound gains in the Six Paths Temple. But the city wasn't as quiet as Lin Chen hoped. Rumors of a rogue group unearthing the secrets of the ancient temple spread like wildfire. Though no one could pinpoint the culprits, whispers of the treasure being a peerless cultivation technique had already reached the ears of powerful factions. For Lin Chen, this only reaffirmed his decision to leave Eternal Sky City sooner rather than later. A chance encounter. The group wandered through the central plaza, an open-air market bustling with merchants hawking rare treasures, artifacts, and pills. Lin Chen was looking for a particular herb to refine a new pill when he noticed a commotion near the end of the plaza. Out of my way! A harsh voice rang out. Lin Chen glanced over to see a young boy no older than 13 sprawled on the ground, his clothes tattered and his face pale. He was being kicked aside by a robust man in extravagant robes. Master, Zhao Tian said angrily, that man is using his strength against someone so helpless. Lin Chen held up his hand to stop Zhao Tian from acting impulsively. Observe, he said calmly. The man spat at the boy. You're nothing but trash. Born with a divine body, yet you can't even cultivate a single wisp of qi? What a waste of talent. You don't deserve to walk the streets of this city. Lin Chen's eyes narrowed. Divine body? The boy's struggle. The boy struggled to his feet, his thin frame trembling under the weight of the insults and blows. Despite his ragged appearance, his eyes burned with defiance. I may be a waste now, the boy said, his voice hoarse, but one day, I'll prove my worth. The crowd jeered, some laughing at the boy's bravado while others simply ignored him. Lin Chen sighed and stepped forward. Enough, he said, his voice calm but firm. The crowd fell silent as Lin Chen approached. His presence, though understated, carried an undeniable weight that made even the robust man pause. Who are you to interfere? The man barked. Lin Chen ignored the question and turned to the boy. What's your name? The boy hesitated before answering, Su Liang. Su Liang, Lin Chen said, do you want to prove your worth? The boy's eyes widened in surprise. Yes. More than anything. Then come with me, Lin Chen said. The divine body unveiled. Back at their temporary lodging, Lin Chen examined Su Liang closely. His spiritual sense revealed a dormant energy within the boy, faint but distinct. This boy's divine body is indeed special, Lin Chen thought. But it's blocked by layers of impurities and trauma. Master, can he truly cultivate? Bai Hao asked. With guidance, Lin Chen replied. His potential far surpasses most cultivators. All he needs is someone to awaken it. Lin Chen placed his hand on Su Liang's forehead and channeled a gentle stream of qi into the boy's meridians. The blockages resisted at first, but Lin Chen's precise control and immense power gradually broke them apart. Su Liang's body began to glow faintly, the energy within him stirring for the first time. It's working. Zhao Tian exclaimed. Suddenly, a surge of energy erupted from Su Liang, causing the room to tremble. Lin Chen withdrew his hand, his expression calm but satisfied. It's done, he said. Su Liang opened his eyes, tears streaming down his face. I can feel it. The qi is flowing through me. The system rewards. System alert, new disciple accepted. Host has gained 100 times cultivation boost for Su Liang's awakening. New mission, cultivate Su Liang to the qi refinement realm within 1 month. Reward, high-grade spiritual treasure. Lin Chen smirked. The system's missions were becoming increasingly ambitious, but the rewards were worth the effort. Su Liang, Lin Chen said, from this day forward, you are my disciple. Your journey will be long and difficult, but I will ensure you reach heights you've never imagined. Su Liang knelt and bowed deeply. Thank you, Master. I will not disappoint you. Whispers of the divine body. While Lin Chen focused on Su Liang's cultivation, news of the boy's divine body began to spread. The robust man who had mocked Su Liang earlier belonged to a minor faction in Eternal Sky City, and he wasted no time reporting the incident to his superiors. A boy with a divine body has been taken in by an unknown cultivator, the faction leader mused. Such talent cannot be allowed to grow unchecked. He dispatched a team of cultivators to investigate Lin Chen and his disciples. Su Liang's breakthrough. Under Lin Chen's guidance, Su Liang progressed rapidly. The Six Paths Harmony technique, combined with Lin Chen's cultivation boost, allowed the boy to achieve feats that would have taken others years. Within a week, Su Liang had reached the first stage of qi refinement. By the end of the month, he was firmly in the fourth stage, a feat that left even his senior disciples in awe. Master, Su Liang's growth is unbelievable, Shuiyan said. That's the power of a divine body, Lin Chen replied. But remember, talent alone is not enough. Discipline and effort are equally important. Su Liang nodded earnestly. I'll work harder, Master. I won't let you down. The faction's ambush. One evening, as Lin Chen and his disciples were meditating, a sharp knock echoed through their door. Lin Chen opened it to find a group of cultivators standing outside, their leader smirking arrogantly. Lin Chen, the leader said, we've heard rumors about your so-called disciples. Hand over the boy with the divine body, and we'll let you live. Lin Chen's expression didn't change. And if I refuse? The leader laughed. Then we'll take him by force. Lin Chen stepped outside, closing the door behind him. My disciples need their rest, he said, his tone calm but icy. You'll regret disturbing them. A lesson in humility. The cultivators attacked without hesitation, their combined qi forming a wave of destructive energy. Lin Chen raised a single hand, and the wave dissolved as if it had never existed. What? The leader gasped. Before they could react, Lin Chen unleashed a burst of energy that immobilized them. His movements were so precise and effortless that it was as if he were merely swatting away flies. Leave, Lin Chen said coldly. And tell your leader that I don't tolerate threats. The group fled, their confidence shattered. The road ahead. As Lin Chen returned inside, his disciples looked at him with a mixture of admiration and gratitude. Master, Su Liang said, I'll grow stronger so you won't have to protect me like this again. Lin Chen placed a hand on Su Liang's shoulder. Strength takes time, Su Liang. Focus on your cultivation, and one day, you'll stand as my equal. The disciples nodded in unison, their resolve strengthened. For Lin Chen, the path ahead was clear. The more he nurtured his disciples, the more the system rewarded him. But with each step forward, new challenges emerged, and he knew the real trials were yet to come. Chapter 20, A Growing Reputation. The events in Eternal Sky City had left ripples that stretched far beyond the bustling metropolis. News of a mysterious master cultivating disciples with extraordinary speed was whispered in the corners of taverns and discussed in the chambers of sect leaders. Lin Chen's growing reputation, though unintended, was becoming harder to ignore. Meanwhile, in the quiet of their temporary home, Lin Chen guided Su Liang and his disciples through another round of the Six Paths Harmony technique. Focus your intent, Lin Chen instructed, his voice calm but firm. The essence of this technique is balance. Force without control is as useless as control without force. Su Liang sat cross-legged in the courtyard, his breathing steady as he followed his master's guidance. Despite his young age and initial struggles, his progress was nothing short of miraculous. The dormant potential in his divine body had awakened, and his qi cultivation surged with every passing day. As the disciples cultivated, Lin Chen leaned against a tree, his mind drifting. The system had given him immense advantages, but with each boost came new challenges. The incident with the local faction was a stark reminder that remaining low-key in a world driven by power was easier said than done. The system's new task. System alert: cultivate disciples to the Foundation establishment realm within 3 months. Reward: Heaven tier artifact. Lin Chen read the system's notification silently. His disciples had already shown remarkable growth, but the Foundation establishment realm required not just skill but a deep understanding of cultivation principles. 3 months, he muttered to himself. Challenging, but not impossible. He glanced at his disciples, who were immersed in their cultivation. With their talent and determination, they'll make it. A new challenge. As the evening approached, a visitor arrived at their door. Unlike the arrogant faction cultivators from before, this man exuded a refined and commanding presence. He wore a simple but elegant robe, and his eyes were sharp and calculating. Master Lin Chen, I presume, the man said, his tone respectful. Lin Chen regarded the man carefully. Who's asking? My name is Zhang Wei. I am an emissary of the Starfire Pavilion, the man replied. I come bearing a proposal. The mention of the Starfire Pavilion, a prominent sect known for its influence and resources, put Lin Chen on alert. A proposal? Lin Chen asked, his tone neutral. Zhang Wei nodded. Our sect leader has heard of your remarkable disciples and wishes to form an alliance. We believe such a partnership would be mutually beneficial. And what does this alliance entail? Lin Chen asked. Zhang Wei smiled faintly. Simply put, we offer protection and resources in exchange for occasional guidance from you and your disciples. A fair trade, don't you think? Lin Chen's eyes narrowed. Your words are polite, but alliances with powerful sects rarely come without strings attached. Zhang Wei chuckled. You're as sharp as they say. Very well, I won't press the matter. But do consider our offer. The Starfire Pavilion is not an enemy you want to make. As Zhang Wei departed, Lin Chen's disciples approached. Master, was that man threatening us? Shui Yan asked, her fists clenched. Lin Chen shook his head. Not directly. But his sect won't take rejection lightly. We'll need to leave this city soon. Preparing to depart. Over the next few days, Lin Chen focused on preparing his disciples for the journey ahead. He refined pills to stabilize their cultivation and imparted techniques to enhance their combat skills. Traveling to a new region will bring new opportunities, but also new dangers, Lin Chen said during one of their sessions. You must remain vigilant at all times. Su Liang, now a solid qi refinement cultivator, looked up at his master with determination. Master, I'll train harder. I won't let you down. Lin Chen nodded approvingly. Good. Remember, cultivation is not just about strength but also about patience and wisdom. An unexpected encounter. As they prepared to leave Eternal Sky City, Lin Chen decided to visit the market one last time. While browsing a stall of rare herbs, he sensed a familiar presence behind him. Master Lin Chen, a voice said softly. Lin Chen turned to see a young woman clad in simple robes, her expression serene but her eyes sharp. She carried a staff adorned with a faintly glowing crystal, marking her as a healer. And you are? Lin Chen asked. My name is Lian Hua, she said, bowing slightly. I heard about your deeds in the city, and I wish to join your discipleship. Lin Chen raised an eyebrow. You've heard about me, yet you know nothing of my methods. Why seek me out? Lian Hua met his gaze unwaveringly. Because I've seen too many cultivators focus solely on power, neglecting the balance of body and soul. Your teachings emphasize harmony, and I believe you can help me achieve my potential. Lin Chen studied her for a moment. Her cultivation base was low, barely at the qi condensation stage, but her aura was pure and steady. I don't accept disciples lightly, Lin Chen said. But if you can prove your determination, I'll consider it. Departure from Eternal Sky City. With their supplies gathered and their destination decided, Lin Chen and his disciples left Eternal Sky City under the cover of dawn. Their journey took them through dense forests, towering mountains, and vast plains. Along the way, Lin Chen continued to teach his disciples, using the natural world as a classroom. Nature is the greatest teacher, Lin Chen said as they walked through a lush forest. It shows us the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. Pay attention to its lessons. His disciples listened intently, their respect for their master growing with each passing day. Arrival in the Azure Flame region. After weeks of travel, the group arrived in the Azure Flame region, a land known for its fierce cultivators and rare resources. The region's capital, Azure Flame City, was even larger than Eternal Sky City, its streets teeming with cultivators from all walks of life. This place feels intense, Zhao Tian said, glancing at the crowd. Lin Chen nodded. The Azure Flame region is a hub of competition. Stay close and avoid unnecessary conflicts. As they settled into their new environment, Lin Chen's thoughts turned to the challenges that lay ahead. The system's missions were becoming increasingly ambitious, and the enemies he faced were growing more powerful. But Lin Chen was undeterred. With his disciples by his side and his system guiding his path, he knew that no obstacle was insurmountable. Chapter 21, The Flames of Azure. Azure Flame City was unlike anything Lin Chen's disciples had seen before. The air was thick with spiritual energy, almost electrifying, and the streets bustled with cultivators of all levels, from qi refinement novices to towering elders exuding immense auras. This city feels alive, Su Liang said, his eyes wide as he looked around. It's a double-edged sword, Lin Chen said, leading them through the crowded streets. A place with this much energy attracts both opportunity and danger. Keep your heads down, and don't attract unnecessary attention. Lin Chen's advice didn't go unheeded. The disciples, now more disciplined after their recent encounters, followed his lead without question. The auction house's invitation. As they settled into a modest inn near the edge of the city, a messenger approached Lin Chen. The man was clad in the uniform of the Azure Flame Auction House, one of the most prominent organizations in the region. Master Lin Chen, the messenger said with a polite bow, our auction master would like to extend an invitation to tomorrow's grand auction. It is an event for the most prestigious cultivators in the region, and your presence has been specially requested. Lin Chen raised an eyebrow. He had purposefully kept his profile low upon entering the city, yet it seemed his reputation had preceded him. I appreciate the invitation, Lin Chen replied calmly, but I prefer to avoid unnecessary attention. The messenger hesitated before adding, the auction master specifically mentioned that an item of great interest to you will be featured. A heaven-grade spiritual treasure, to be exact. This piqued Lin Chen's interest. Heaven-grade treasures were exceedingly rare and could provide immense benefits, not just for himself but also for his disciples. Very well, Lin Chen said. I'll attend. A new encounter. The following day, Lin Chen arrived at the grandiose Azure Flame auction house with his disciples in tow. The building was a marvel of architectural ingenuity, its towering spires shimmering with runes that reflected the sunlight. As they entered the auction hall, Lin Chen noticed the array of powerful cultivators seated in the audience. Some bore the insignias of renowned sects, while others radiated the calm confidence of lone cultivators who had reached impressive heights. Master, Zhao Tian whispered, these people are all incredibly strong. Should we really be here? Strength is only part of the equation, Lin Chen replied softly. Stay vigilant, and observe. This is a valuable learning experience for all of you. The disciples nodded, their unease giving way to determination. The Divine Body Disciples Test. As the auction began, Lin Chen's attention was drawn to a particular lot, a rare azure flame lotus, an herb known for purifying meridians and enhancing cultivation speed. This would be perfect for Su Liang's next breakthrough, Lin Chen thought. However, the bidding was fierce. Wealthy sect representatives and affluent rogue cultivators drove the price higher and higher until it reached a staggering sum. Just as Lin Chen was about to bid, Su Liang stepped forward. "Master," he said quietly, "may I handle this?" Lin Chen studied Su Liang for a moment before nodding. "Go ahead." Su Liang approached the auctioneer and spoke confidently. "I would like to offer this in exchange." He revealed a small jade pendant imbued with an ancient aura. The auctioneer's eyes widened. "This is a spirit-engraved jade. A priceless artifact." The crowd murmured in amazement as the auctioneer accepted Su Liang's offer without hesitation. "Where did you get that?" Zhao Tian whispered as Su Liang returned to his seat. "It was something my late father left me," Su Liang said. "Master has given me a new life. This is the least I can do." Lin Chen nodded approvingly. "You've made a wise decision, Su Liang. Treasures come and go, but opportunities like this are rare." The hidden contest. As the auction progressed, Lin Chen felt a faint but distinct spiritual fluctuation emanating from the VIP section. He glanced up to see a young man seated among the elites, his expression arrogant and dismissive. That fluctuation, Lin Chen thought, it's aimed at us. Before long, the young man spoke up. "Auctioneer, I challenge the holder of the Azure Flame Lotus to a duel. Winner takes both the herb and the pendant used to bid for it." The hall fell silent. Such challenges were rare but not unheard of in high-stakes auctions. Su Liang's face turned pale, but Lin Chen placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Do you accept, Su Liang?" The boy hesitated before nodding. "Yes, master. I'll do my best." Su Liang's growth. The duel was set to take place in a private arena attached to the auction house. As the crowd gathered, Lin Chen gave Su Liang a few last-minute instructions. "Remember what I've taught you," Lin Chen said. "Your opponent is overconfident. Use that to your advantage." Su Liang nodded, his determination solidifying. The duel began with the young man launching a barrage of fiery chi techniques, each one more aggressive than the last. Su Liang, however, remained calm, his movements precise and fluid as he dodged and deflected the attacks. As the battle progressed, it became clear that Su Liang's training under Lin Chen had given him an edge. He countered the young man's final attack with a technique from the Six Paths Harmony, neutralizing the fiery chi and striking a decisive blow. The crowd erupted into applause as Su Liang emerged victorious. A quiet departure. After the duel, Lin Chen and his disciples left the auction house without delay. Though the victory had bolstered Su Liang's confidence, Lin Chen knew that their presence in the city would only draw more attention. As they walked through the darkened streets, Lin Chen spoke. "Today was a valuable lesson for all of you. Strength and wisdom must go hand in hand. Never let arrogance blind you to the reality of a situation." "Yes, master," the disciples replied in unison. For Lin Chen, the road ahead was clear. The Azure Flame region held countless opportunities, but it also harbored dangers that could not be underestimated. With his disciples growing stronger and the system guiding his path, he was prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead. Chapter 22: The Gathering Storm. The Azure Flame City had a way of stirring unease even in the most experienced cultivators. Its constant hum of energy spoke of hidden rivalries and untold ambitions. For Lin Chen, the city was a temporary stop, but he could feel the weight of its intrigue pressing against his plans for a low profile. A whisper of danger. Returning to the inn after the auction, Lin Chen noticed a subtle but persistent spiritual presence lingering nearby. Someone was watching them. His disciples were unaware, their spirits buoyed by Su Liang's victory. "Master, that duel today was incredible," Zhao Tian said enthusiastically. "Su Liang's movements were so smooth I could barely keep up with my eyes." "True," Shui Yan added with a proud smile. "I didn't expect him to adapt the Six Paths Harmony technique so well in battle." Lin Chen remained quiet as they entered their quarters, his eyes scanning every shadow. Once the door shut behind them, he turned to his disciples, his voice low. "We're being watched," he said, cutting through their excitement. Their smiles faded. "Who is it, master?" Shui Yan asked, her voice steady but tinged with concern. I don't know yet, but stay on guard. Tonight, we move in shifts. Keep your qi circulating lightly, and be ready for anything. The disciples nodded, their earlier exuberance replaced with a growing sense of responsibility. The system's revelation. As Lin Chen meditated late into the night, the system spoke once more. New mission unlocked, survive the Azure Flame sect's trial. Objective, protect your disciples and uncover the identity of your pursuers. Reward, Earth Tier Pill Recipe, Resilience Essence. Lin Chen frowned. He hadn't encountered the Azure Flame sect directly, but their reach in the region was extensive. It was clear that his actions at the auction had drawn unwanted attention. So, they want to test me, Lin Chen muttered. Fine. Let's see who breaks first. The Azure Flame sect's arrival. Morning came, and with it, the sect's emissaries. A group of 6 cultivators, clad in crimson and gold robes, appeared at the inn's entrance. Their leader, a tall man with a scar across his cheek, stepped forward and spoke with an air of authority. Master Lin Chen, he called, his voice echoing through the street. By order of the Azure Flame sect, you are invited to a private meeting with Elder Wu Tian. Refusal is not an option. Lin Chen's disciples tensed. Master, Zhao Tian whispered, what should we do? Lin Chen placed a reassuring hand on Zhao Tian's shoulder. Stay here. This is something I'll handle alone. But Su Liang began to protest. No buts, Lin Chen interrupted, his tone firm. You've trained hard, but this is beyond your current strength. Trust me. Reluctantly, the disciples nodded. Meeting Elder Wu Tian. Lin Chen followed the emissaries to the Azure Flame sect's grand compound, a sprawling fortress perched on the edge of the city. Inside, he was led to a lavish chamber where Elder Wu Tian awaited. The elder was a wizened man with sharp, calculating eyes. His aura was oppressive, though Lin Chen met his gaze without flinching. Master Lin Chen, Elder Wu Tian said, his voice smooth. Your reputation precedes you. It's rare for someone of your caliber to remain unaffiliated in a place like this. I prefer my independence, Lin Chen replied. Wu Tian chuckled. A noble sentiment, but independence comes at a cost. Your display at the auction has drawn the attention of many, and not all of it is favorable. I'm here to offer you protection if you're willing to align yourself with the Azure Flame sect. Lin Chen's expression didn't change, but inwardly, he sighed. Another sect trying to rope me in. I appreciate the offer, Lin Chen said diplomatically, but I'm not interested in alliances. Wu Tian's smile faded. A shame. Refusing an offer from the Azure Flame sect is unwise. The veiled threat hung in the air, but Lin Chen remained unmoved. I'll keep that in mind. Elder Wu Tian's gaze sharpened. Very well. But I'd advise you to reconsider before the upcoming Azure Flame trials. It would be a pity if your disciples found themselves unprepared. Lin Chen left the chamber with his decision unchanged, but his mind was already formulating a plan. Preparing for the trials. Back at the inn, Lin Chen gathered his disciples. We're leaving the city, he said without preamble. But master, what about the trials? Su Liang asked. Lin Chen shook his head. The trials are a trap. The Azure Flame sect wants to test us, and not in a fair way. We need to move before they can force our hand. The disciples nodded, trusting Lin Chen's judgment. The ambush. That night, as they prepared to leave, the inn was attacked. A group of masked cultivators burst through the doors, their chi flaring violently. Don't let them escape, one of the attackers shouted. Lin Chen stepped forward, his calm demeanor masking the storm of energy building within him. Stay behind me, he instructed his disciples. The attackers charged, their techniques aimed with precision, but Lin Chen countered each strike effortlessly. His movements were fluid and deliberate, a master at work. With a single wave of his hand, Lin Chen unleashed a burst of qi that sent the attackers sprawling. You've made a mistake, he said coldly, his voice carrying a weight that made even the seasoned cultivators hesitate. The attackers scrambled to retreat, but Lin Chen let them go. Let them report back, he thought. It'll save me the trouble of sending a message myself. A new destination. With the attack behind them, Lin Chen led his disciples out of the city under the cover of darkness. Their journey took them toward the verdant Cloud Mountain Range, a secluded region known for its spiritual abundance and dangerous beasts. We'll train here, Lin Chen said as they entered the forested expanse. The trials may have been a trap, but the Azure Flame sect won't leave us alone. We need to prepare for their next move. The disciples nodded, their resolve stronger than ever. For Lin Chen, the path ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear: his journey in the Azure Flame region was far from over. Chapter 23, Verdant Cloud Sanctuary. The verdant Cloud Mountain Range stretched endlessly, its peaks shrouded in mist and its valleys teeming with spiritual energy. For Lin Chen and his disciples, it was both a refuge and a training ground. Yet, as serene as it appeared, the mountain range was no less perilous than Azure Flame City. Master, Zhao Tian said, his voice quiet but curious, why did we come here instead of heading further away? Lin Chen, walking ahead, paused and glanced back. The Azure Flame sect is powerful, but their influence doesn't reach deep into these mountains. This place will serve us well to prepare. He pointed to a plateau that rose like an emerald throne amidst the mist. We'll set up there. The energy here is potent enough to push all of you to your limits. The disciples nodded, their eyes glinting with determination. The verdant trials. Reaching the plateau wasn't easy. The path was treacherous, lined with jagged rocks and beasts lurking in the shadows. Lin Chen allowed his disciples to lead the way, observing their teamwork and reactions to danger. Su Liang's cautious approach ensured the group avoided several hidden traps, while Zhao Tian's quick reflexes saved Shui Yan from a surprise attack by a silver fawn leopard. When they finally arrived at the plateau, Lin Chen stood before them with a rare smile. "You've grown," he said simply. His disciples exchanged surprised glances, knowing their master rarely gave praise. But, Lin Chen continued, his tone sharp, growth means nothing if you can't defend what you've earned. From now on, your training will intensify. The disciples straightened, their anticipation clear. Cultivation realms and insights. Over the next week, Lin Chen drilled his disciples relentlessly. He introduced them to the nuances of higher cultivation realms, laying out the path ahead. 1. Qi refinement, the foundation of a cultivator's journey. 2. Foundation establishment, stabilizing one's core and unlocking greater energy reserves. 3. Core formation, forging a golden core to harness immense power. 4. Nascent soul, manifesting a spiritual soul for unparalleled insight and strength. 5. Soul assimilation, integrating the soul with the heavens, gaining a divine connection. 6. Void fragmentation, transcending the physical body and understanding the void. 7. Saint ascension, stepping into a realm where one's will shapes reality. Beyond these, Lin Chen mentioned rarer realms, Heavenly Emperor, Immortal Monarch, and even the mythical Eternal Taoist. Each step is a chasm, Lin Chen explained, but with diligence and guidance, you can cross them. System upgrade revelation. One evening, after an intense day of training, Lin Chen felt a familiar surge within his consciousness. System upgrade complete. New features. Cultivation boost increased, 100x from disciples' cultivation progress. Mission system unlocked. Enhanced guidance mode activated. Finally, Lin Chen thought, his lips curling into a rare smirk. This will make things more interesting. Almost immediately, a notification followed. New mission, awaken the divine potential of your next disciple. Reward, Mystic Flame Body Constitution Manual. Lin Chen's brow furrowed. He hadn't yet encountered another potential disciple, but the system's guidance was never random. The Divine Body Encounter. The following day, as Lin Chen and his disciples scouted the lower forest, they came across a frail young man surrounded by several cultivators in tattered robes. The boy's body was bruised, and his spirit seemed crushed. "Please," the boy begged, "I'll pay back the debt. Just give me time." One of the cultivators laughed cruelly. "You're a useless cripple. Do you think anyone will lend you time, let alone spiritual stones?" Lin Chen's eyes narrowed. He stepped forward, his calm demeanor masking the storm brewing within. "That's enough," he said, his voice steady but commanding. The thugs turned, their expressions shifting from surprise to scorn. "And who might you be, old man?" one sneered. Lin Chen's gaze flickered, and an invisible wave of pressure crushed the thugs to their knees. "Leave," he said simply. Terrified, the group scrambled to escape, leaving the boy trembling on the ground. Awakening the divine body. The boy looked up at Lin Chen with wide, tear-filled eyes. "Thank you, Senior," he whispered. "But I'm not worth saving. I'm just a waste." Lin Chen crouched beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Who told you that?" "Everyone," the boy murmured. "No matter how hard I try, my meridians are blocked, and I can't cultivate." Lin Chen's eyes gleamed as he activated his system's guidance mode. A stream of information flooded his mind, revealing the truth. This boy has the heavenly flame constitution, a divine body capable of absorbing fire-based spiritual energy at an unimaginable rate. But his potential has been sealed. "Your meridians aren't blocked," Lin Chen said aloud. "They're sealed by someone who didn't want you to rise." The boy's eyes widened in disbelief. "Sealed? But why?" Lin Chen didn't answer immediately. Instead, he said, "If I help you awaken your true potential, will you become my disciple?" The boy hesitated before nodding fervently. "Yes. I'll do anything, Master." "Good," Lin Chen said, rising. "This will hurt." Without another word, Lin Chen placed his palm against the boy's chest and sent a wave of qi surging through his body. The boy screamed as the seals shattered, releasing an explosion of fiery energy that lit up the forest. When it was over, the boy collapsed, unconscious but alive. Lin Chen carried him back to the plateau, where his disciples watched in awe. "Who is he, Master?" Shui Yan asked. "Our new disciple," Lin Chen said simply. "His name is Jiang Hao," the boy muttered weakly. "The path ahead." As Jiang Hao recovered, Lin Chen explained his new role to the other disciples. "Jiang Hao has a divine constitution," Lin Chen said. "His progress will be explosive once he begins cultivating, but he'll need guidance." "We'll help him, Master," Su Liang said earnestly. Lin Chen nodded. "Good. This is the first step in preparing for what's to come. The Azure Flame sect won't stop hunting us, and the trials ahead will test you all." His words were met with determination. For Lin Chen, the path was clear: protect his disciples, grow stronger, and uncover the secrets of this world, one step at a time. Chapter 24, Jiang Hao's Awakening. The morning mist rolled over the plateau, the air thick with spiritual energy. Jiang Hao sat cross-legged near the center, his brows furrowed in concentration. Lin Chen stood nearby, arms folded, watching closely. The other disciples formed a protective circle, their curiosity barely concealed. "Concentrate on your breathing," Lin Chen instructed. "Feel the energy around you. It's not just air, it's life itself." Jiang Hao nodded, his body trembling slightly as he inhaled deeply. His previously dormant heavenly flame constitution was now stirring, and every breath drew in wisps of fiery energy from the surroundings. "Good," Lin Chen said. "Don't rush it. Let the energy guide you." The boy's face contorted with effort as flames began to flicker around his fingertips. The sheer heat of his cultivation aura made the grass beneath him wither, and the other disciples instinctively stepped back. A test of will. As the fiery energy coursed through Jiang Hao's body, Lin Chen could see the strain in his expression. The seals that had suppressed his meridians for years had left behind scars, and the sudden surge of power was overwhelming him. "You must remain calm," Lin Chen said firmly. "Fear will only feed the fire." Jiang Hao gritted his teeth, sweat dripping down his face. "It's too much, Master." Lin Chen stepped forward and placed a hand on the boy's back, channeling a steady stream of his own qi into him. The fiery energy immediately stabilized, flowing smoothly through Jiang Hao's meridians. "Do not let the power control you," Lin Chen said. "You are the master of your body and soul." With Lin Chen's guidance, Jiang Hao's breathing steadied, and the flames around him dimmed to a soft glow. When he opened his eyes, they burned with a golden hue, a clear sign of his awakened constitution. I did it, Jiang Hao said, his voice trembling with disbelief. Lin Chen nodded. This is just the beginning. Your path will be arduous, but with discipline, you will rise. New missions, new challenges. As Jiang Hao rested, Lin Chen turned his attention inward. Mission complete, awaken the divine potential of your next disciple. Reward, Mystic Flame Body Constitution Manual added to inventory. Another notification followed. New mission, strengthen your disciples for the Azure Flame Sect's pursuit. Objective, each disciple must reach Foundation establishment within 3 months. Reward, Tier 2 Spirit Vein Activation Array. Lin Chen sighed inwardly. The system's missions were growing more demanding, but the rewards were becoming equally valuable. Foundation establishment in 3 months, he thought. For Su Liang, Shui Yan, and Zhao Tian, it's possible with effort. But Jiang Hao, he's starting from nothing. A rivalry sparks. Over the next few days, Jiang Hao began his training under Lin Chen's watchful eye. Despite his newfound power, he struggled to control the fiery energy within him. Each mistake resulted in bursts of flames that scorched the earth. Focus, Jiang Hao. Lin Chen said during one session. Your constitution gives you strength, but it also demands precision. Recklessness will destroy you. Jiang Hao clenched his fists, frustration etched on his face. I'm trying, Master. But it's so much harder than I thought. From the sidelines, Zhao Tian couldn't hide a smirk. Maybe you're not cut out for this, little brother. You've got the talent, but do you have the will? Jiang Hao glared at him. I'll show you, senior brother. Just watch. Lin Chen raised an eyebrow. Good. Let that fire fuel your determination, but keep it under control. The rivalry between Jiang Hao and Zhao Tian quickly became apparent. Zhao Tian's quick reflexes and years of training gave him an edge, but Jiang Hao's raw potential and relentless drive pushed him to improve rapidly. Cultivation Realm Insights. As the disciples trained, Lin Chen continued to impart his knowledge of the cultivation realms. The gap between Qi refinement and foundation establishment is immense, he explained one evening as they gathered around a small campfire. It's not just about power, it's about stability. Without a solid foundation, no matter how high you climb, you will fall. Su Liang, who had been steadily progressing, asked, Master, what comes after foundation establishment? Core formation, Lin Chen replied. That is when you condense your qi into a golden core. It's the hallmark of a true expert. Few in this world ever reach it. The disciples listened intently, their eyes filled with determination. For now, Lin Chen continued, focus on reaching foundation establishment. Once you achieve that, your paths will diverge, and your cultivation techniques will evolve. An unexpected visitor. One evening, as Lin Chen meditated atop the plateau, a flicker of movement caught his attention. A figure cloaked in black appeared at the edge of the clearing, their aura concealed but undeniably powerful. Lin Chen, the figure said, their voice cold and emotionless. You've been marked by the Azure Flame Sect. Surrender now, and I might let your disciples live. Lin Chen opened his eyes slowly, his expression calm. Another dog sent to bark? They grow tiresome. The figure bristled. You think you can defy the sect forever? Even the strongest cultivator can't stand against an entire region's might. Lin Chen stood, his hands clasped behind his back. Strength isn't about standing alone. It's about knowing when to act and when to remain still. The figure lunged, their blades shimmering with deadly intent. Lin Chen sidestepped effortlessly, his hand shooting out to grab the attacker's wrist. With a twist, he disarmed them and sent them crashing to the ground. You're out of your depth, Lin Chen said, his voice icy. Tell your masters that if they wish to test me, they should come themselves. The attackers scrambled to their feet and fled, leaving Lin Chen standing alone under the moonlight. Strengthening bonds. The confrontation served as a reminder of the looming threat. Lin Chen intensified his disciples' training, pushing them harder than ever before. Zhang Hao, despite his rocky start, began to make steady progress. His control over the heavenly flame constitution improved, and he even managed to spar with Zhao Tian without losing control. Not bad, little brother, Zhao Tian said after one session, his tone grudgingly respectful. You might actually catch up to me someday. Zhang Hao grinned. I'll do more than that, senior brother. Just wait. Lin Chen watched their banter from a distance, a rare sense of pride filling him. Despite the challenges, his disciples were growing not just as cultivators but as a family. The path forward. As the weeks passed, Lin Chen continued to prepare his disciples for the trials ahead. The verdant Cloud Mountain range was harsh and unforgiving, but it provided the perfect crucible for their growth. For Lin Chen, the path was clear: train his disciples, stay ahead of the Azure Flame sect, and uncover the mysteries tied to his reincarnation and the system that guided him. But even as he focused on the present, a deeper question lingered in his mind: what lay beyond the heavens of this world?